If the Eagles win tonight, they're guaranteed to be alive in the playoff picture. But as we've said, they need help. And Rich, both teams have talked about getting good starts, both Washington and Philadelphia.
Yeah, Kevin, we have two offenses that have not started games well in recent weeks. I'm not surprised to see Chip Kelly and the Eagles decide to start on offense. It's important that both RG3 and Mark Sanchez get off to good starts in this one.
So Kai Forbath has the ball teed up for the Redskins. You see some of his numbers. And deep back for Philadelphia, a rookie out of Oregon, Josh Huff, who has already returned 106 yards this season, an Eagle return record. Redskins, Eagles. Philadelphia beat this team by 3, week 3, and here we go. And he's out, Huff, to about the 24-yard line, hit by a couple on the play. And for the Redskins, Darrell Young makes the stop on a 23-yard return, with all eyes on Mark Sanchez. Took that Jet team after being a high pick out of USC to a couple AFC Championship games. Shoulder issues, he missed a season, backing up Foles. Now he's the starter.
Kevin, he does a lot of things well. There's no question about that. He's got arm talent. He's tough. He's a smart player. He's come in here and picked this system up rather quickly. The one thing that has held him back has been the turnovers. If he can just clean up that part of his game, I think he can be a terrific player.
That's part of his entire career.
That's really held him back.
With the 1st and 10, McCoy out of the backfield, but they go underneath, and Zach Ertz at the 29-yard line with the catch, brought down by the linebacker Will Compton on a gain of 6.
And this is fun to watch. In talking to Chip Kelly, he said the officials, we have to play at their pace. They study who the officials are. Make sure they get that ball spotted quickly.
With a 2nd and 4, trying to dance as McCoy, and out to the 32. He doesn't pick up much right there, and hit on the line by Bowen. Gain of 2. They study the officials. They see who is officiating the game to know the speed they can travel.
They go to the extent to study how old these officials are, how old the umpire is. They had this crew against Green Bay earlier in the season, but Chip Kelly talked to these officials before the game about spotting the ball and playing at their pace.
5 in the secondary for the Redskins. 3rd and 2 for Sanchez, and he's got the first down with his tight end making the grab, Ertz. Brought down by Philip Thomas. He picks up 5 to the 37.
Yeah, that's the guy you got to keep an eye on 3rd down. 20 catches on 3rd down. 18 of them have gone for first downs. He's got a good feel for coverage, whether it's man or zone.
They take Ertz out, and they put in Brent Selleck, who will be in the slot with a 1st and 10 from the 37. And McCoy staggers his way past the 40-yard line with a gain of about 4, make it 3 on the play, and a couple guys there, including the linebacker Perry Riley Jr.
The Redskins, Kevin, the key for them, just in talking to some of their players, they've got to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. They've got to be able to stop the run, make this a one-dimensional game. No problem with snap there.
On that 2nd down and 7.
Start, number 71 offense, 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Carl Cheffers is our referee here in Landover tonight. So it'll be 2nd down and 12 on the game-opening drive for Philadelphia.
Yeah, a little unusual. You look at Kelsey, everyone's going to move except the center. And this doesn't happen that often where you get the center who actually forgets the snap count. It's kind of embarrassing, but it happens on occasion.
But that center's making a lot of line calls, too. I mean, there's a lot on his plate.
He's got a lot of communication has to go on up front.
2nd and 12 for Sanchez. Underneath Sproles, drops it at the 40-yard line. The coverage on the play by Will Compton. Now 3rd and 12. You don't see Sproles drop too many. He does right there.
And that's the big challenge, I think, Kevin, for this Washington defense. How do you match up with all the skill players? You've got really terrific players at wide receiver with Maclin and Matthews, tight ends that can catch. And then you got to worry about the back out of the backfield, whether it's McCoy or Sproles.
5 defensive backs for the Skins. 3rd and 12. They need the 47. Here comes Kerrigan. There goes Sanchez. He's got him. Maclin on the dive. Catch at the 42. Coverage on the play by veteran Ryan Clark. 22-yard pickup and a 1st.
Really nice job here. They're actually cutting to Maclin. And there's 3 defenders there. He does a nice job just sitting in the hole.
First game against this Redskin team back in September. 8 catches, 154 through the air for Maclin. Here's a 1st and 10. Mark Sanchez underneath again. And he was a little bit wide and incomplete to Sproles with the coverage by Riley at about the 40.
You look at how fast they're substituting and calling plays, and communication is going to be key defensively for the Redskins.
Let me ask you, as a former quarterback, how would you have liked to have played in a system like this?
I like it, Kevin, because I can dictate the pace and the tempo of play. And I want to make it difficult for the Redskins defensively. I don't want Jim Haslett, the defensive coordinator, to have a lot of time to dial up all those blitzes.
It's exhausting. 2nd down and 10. McCoy finally brought down by Breland from the secondary and hit about the 46, 47-yard line with a loss of 3. So the communication for this Washington defense among themselves important.
Yeah, it really is. And you see the penetration here. It just gets you in the running game. But they've got to do a good job. I think they've got to limit their package defensively. As you look at Jim Haslett there, he's got to get the play call into the linebacker. Linebacker's got to get that information to the defensive line, to the secondary. You can't have any breakdowns with communication.
Well, they've converted 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 12. Here's a 3rd and 14 knocked away. Kerrigan's got it, fumble. The Redskins have gotten the game's first turnover at the 46 of the Eagles. Another turnover for Sanchez.
And this is their best pass rusher, Ryan Kerrigan. He's just going to be working on Lane Johnson. And he beats him with a little move around the edge, and Sanchez takes the extra hitch, and that's what gets him. Nice play there by Ryan Kerrigan, alert play. He actually reaches in with the left hand, and he's able to create the turnover.
Sanchez has now turned the ball over either via fumble or interception 12 times this season. And the Eagle quarterbacks, Foles and Sanchez, the most turnovers of any quarterback position in the NFL. So look at the great beginning field position for Robert Griffin III at the 30, 47-yard line. Alfred Morris, young to block. Down to about the 41-yard line. A host of guys there, including linebacker Michael Kendricks on a gain of 6 for Alfred Morris of Washington.
Well, good look at RG3. I really felt, Kevin, he handled the motion the right way. You know, his teammates, his coaches took notice. It's not an easy thing to go through. But I think he had the right attitude. He ran the scout team. He helped the other quarterbacks. He answered the tough questions. And now he gets an opportunity to finish the season strong as a starter.
It's a 2nd down 3 for Griffin. Outside. Jackson with the catch. Knocked out of bounds by Kerry Williams. He's to the 33-yard line of the Eagles. Has a 1st down on a gain of 8. A catch against his former team where he played for a long time.
Really simple little out route. Deshaun Jackson just, you know, when you watch RG3 and the protection's good and he's in rhythm and his feet are good, he can be very accurate.
Yeah, rhythm seems to be a big deal for him.
Well, it's the key. And I think when he gets rushed, Kevin, things get sped up. His footwork is compromised. It affects his decision making.
Couple tight ends here for Griffin, and it's a sweep. Morris on 1st and 10. Brought down by Connor Barwin, having a terrific season, number 98, with a gain of 1 yard. He'll be at the 32.
You're not lying about Connor Barwin. He's really been outstanding. Leads the NFC in sacks with 14.5, 3rd on the team in tackles. He's become a leader. He's become a vocal leader on this defense.
Has a familiarity, too, with the defensive coordinator, Billy Davis of the Eagles.
Absolutely.
Chris Thompson has come in, 2nd down and 9. Four in the secondary. Outside they go. The aforementioned Thompson, the running back, and brought down beautiful. Nice open field tackle there. A 2nd one defensively for Kendricks, and a gain of 2 on the play for a kid they just brought off the practice squad, Chris Thompson. They're down to the 30.
Kevin, you and I were talking during the week, and I said if I was the Washington Redskins offensively, I'd come out in no huddle, right? Think about Philadelphia. Their defense has been on the field for over 40 minutes in each of the last 2 weeks, against Seattle and against Dallas. I think Jay Gruden is hesitant to do that because of the struggles that they have had with RG3. But if it were me, I want to wear out this defense early in this football game.
Sometimes, Rich, those struggles come up on 3rd down, right? And they're a poor 3rd down team.
Yeah, protection has been a big part of it.
3rd and 7 for Griffin. Blocked by Compton, the tackle, and caught. Roberts to the 16-yard line. Tackled by Nate Allen. 14-yard pickup down to the Eagles 16.
A little in route here against man-to-man coverage, and I'm not surprised to see him go after Bradley Fletcher. He had a rough night last Sunday against Dez Bryant and the Cowboys. You have to test number 24 early.
A couple nice passes on this drive, Rich. 8 yards to Jackson, first down. 14 yards right there to Andre Roberts.
He looks comfortable, Kevin. The ball is coming out quick, and he's been decisive.
And he's hit 3 different receivers on this drive after a fumble by Sanchez. First and 10, Alfred Morris. Big wall there to meet him and bring him down. And use it on the play by Brandon Graham, getting the start tonight. It's a gain of a yard.
Yeah, I've been impressed with this Philadelphia run defense. I thought they did a really nice job bottling up the league's leading rusher last week in DeMarco Murray. At least a dozen occasions they held him to no yards or negative yards rushing. The run defense has been much better here the last 3 weeks.
And probably the strength of the Eagle defense overall, right?
They do a good job. They do a good job with their penetration, particularly with Fletcher Cox.
Little pistol here, second down and 9. Here comes Griffin. He's chased by Fletcher Cox. On the fly, tough throw, dropped at the 10. Looking for Jackson, all kinds of traffic around him, including Kendricks and others. A lot of traffic, 3rd and 9 now coming up for Washington.
A really nice job not letting the quarterback get outside. You want to make RG3 function as a pocket passer. What I don't want him to do is to get on the edge of our defense and give him a two-way go, whether he can run it or throw it. Important for Philadelphia linebackers, defensive ends to force this guy back up inside.
3rd and 9.
Man-to-man coverage all across the board.
Thompson in the backfield. Griffin, no one home. Jordan Reed, the tight end, was about the 5, and he was covered on the play by Malcolm Jenkins in the secondary for Philadelphia. It's 4th down, and let's see what the Eagles do here. There's a flag on the far side of the field in the end zone that was thrown on the white border, on the chalk, hardly seen as you see Williams walking away from it. This may give Washington some new life.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness. Number 26 defense for unnecessarily contacting an opponent. Half a distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And on 3rd and 9 to boot.
Well, you just watch, he's going to the corner right here. A little bit of pushing and shoving it right there. That's it. And penalties, Kevin, have been a problem on defense the last few weeks, especially from their secondary. Just can't have it.
1st and goal at the 7. Then Sanchez fumbling. Redskins taking it here. Couple tight ends. Morris blocked by Paul. One of those tight ends and back almost to the line of scrimmage with a tackle made by Cedric Thornton and no gain on the play.
They do a nice job right before the snap, stunning to their left. Penetration just kills it.
They have tried to craft for Robert Griffin III. They've tried to craft, Rich, a game plan that's comfortable for him.
Yeah, I think Jay Gruden's done everything he can to structure a game plan around what the quarterback does well, what he's comfortable with, and what he has a history with.
10th play of the drive, 2nd and goal at the 8. And again, Chris Thompson out of Florida State, second-year player, is at the side of Griffin. There he goes. Blew a tire and down about the 7-yard line, and Brandon Boykin was on a beat for him. Slot cornerback, it's a gain of a yard for Robert Griffin III.
Well, he's not running as much, and I think he's doing a good job here going through his progressions, working back and forth across the field. Finally, when it's not there, you see him pull it out. But in talking to Bill Davis, defensive coordinator of the Eagles last night, he said the production, the running game with him is down. Why? Well, he had a knee surgery, he had the ankle injury. I think defenses have a better feel for his game. And finally, I think players are bigger, stronger, and faster, and they hit harder at this level.
You should know. 3rd and goal at the 8. Griffin almost picked off, incomplete. Jenkins could have gone the other way for 6. Had he been able to lasso the pass, it's 4th down. They'll try for 3 and try to get something out of the Sanchez fumble.
That was a good stop by the Philly defense there on 3rd down.
Sure
You're right,
was.
Kevin. Malcolm Jenkins, he reads this route the whole way, and Pierre Garçon, he's got to take a flatter angle and cross the face of the safety.
So Kai Forbath comes on. He's, you can see, 21-24. We'll call it a 25-yard field goal attempt with the hold from Tress Way. Nick Sundberg is the long snapper. And the Redskins get 3 on the Sanchez fumble with 6:04 to play in the first. In a big game for the Eagles to stay relevant in the playoff picture, but they need to win to stay alive. This Saturday edition of Thursday Night Football is brought to you by EA Sports FIFA 15. Feel the game. In stores now. And by GMC. Enter the Never Say Never sweepstakes for a chance to win a GMC vehicle. The Department of Defense. Defense needed here tonight with the Redskins and the Eagles. Just outside the nation's capital, they talk things over. The offensive coordinator is Coach McVay, and he's over there talking with Robert Griffin III. That's Kirk Cousins to the right, who had many starts earlier in the season for the Skins.
And Kevin, he was struggling a little bit with his confidence as well. You and I did a game several weeks ago against the Tennessee Titans right here, and he turned the ball over a couple times in the first half, and they made the switch to Colt McCoy.
Fort Bethany just had a 25-yard field goal to the 1. And Josh Huff. Ooh, is right. What a stick. Breland. It's an 18-yard return. Now here comes Mark Sanchez, and this Eagle offense already a turnover tonight and down 3-zip, just under 6 in the first. Well, for Mark Sanchez, those are pretty prominent numbers in his resume.
It's really been his Achilles heel, Kevin. It's just a problem for Mark Sanchez. And look, you and I just talked during the intermission. You've got to be able to really come out here and set the tone. This is a Washington team with just 3 wins.
Well, Baker coming up the middle, and here comes Sanchez on the fly. And a gain of a couple yards on the play. Kerrigan had a beat on him to about the 24-yard line and a gain of 3. So even though it is a second series of the game, this is taken on, in your vision, a little bit more important.
Well, I think it's important. You're talking about a 3-win team in the Redskins that have their own issues and problems and not a lot to play for. And I think it's important that you get a lead early.
2nd and 7. They have McCoy on a dive, and about 3 right there. Cofield among them, along with Baker. He's out to the 27-yard line.
Well, they did a nice job in the first game against LaShawn McCoy, and that's going to be key again today. Kept him in check. 19 carries for just 22 yards. It was his fewest yards per rush in a game in his career the first time these two teams met this season.
The Eagles have not been running that well during these last 2 games. They both lost only 3.1 a carry.
Well, they have to have some success on the early downs with McCoy.
There's a 3rd and 4 with the crumbling pocket, and he's hit on the play, and the ball flutters Cofield, and that baby is loose, and as you can see, flying the other way is Biggers, but they've blown it dead. Flag has been thrown at the 27. A lot of moving parts in that play with 5 to play in the first. And already a Sanchez fumble. Foles with the broken left collarbone. He's been out for almost 2 months.
Ruling on the field is with a pass, and that pass was incomplete. Prior to the pass, illegal use of hands to the face, number 26 defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's on the rookie corner, Breland, who is the most penalized Redskin player on their defense.
Yeah, you look at Breland, Kevin, he's a physical player, and he wants to jam you. He gets his hand right underneath the face mask of, you see Sanchez. Clearly that arm is coming forward before Cofield gets there.
But they're getting there. That's a story. First and 10, here comes McCoy. Getting a block from Peters and works his way up to about the 35-yard line. A couple at the bottom of the pile, including Kedrick Golston on a gain of 3.
Good look at Jim Haslett. I great respect for the job that he has done with this group, Kevin. They're really young and inexperienced at the cornerback position. But he'll continue to play man, continue to challenge Sanchez today with that coverage.
2nd and 7 underneath once again. This is McCoy with a nice move to get by Biggers and take it into Redskin territory. Hit on the play by the linebacker Perry Riley Jr. A catch and run of 18 to the 48.
Boy, sometimes those little check downs, those little outlet routes to the back can be huge, especially to a back like LaShawn McCoy. All you're trying to do is get him in the open field. Not crazy about how he's carrying the football. That's not something you want youngsters at home to do, but at least he has the wherewithal, Kevin, to change the ball to his outside hand as he's towards the boundary.
Trent Murphy, an outside linebacker, walked off the field gingerly, and The Redskins, they'll take a look at him on the sideline. There he is. He's the rookie out of Stanford who is replacing the injured Brian Orakpo.
We've got to be able to generate a pass rush opposite Ryan Kerrigan.
Jackson Jeffcoat has taken his place, a rookie free agent out of Texas. Kerrigan in.
12.5 sacks.
1st and 10. Sproles was in the backfield and he gets the pass here. Compton had a beat on him, brought down by Riley, down about the 41-yard line of Washington on a catch and run of 7.
This is just as good as a run, Kevin. I mean, Mark Sanchez does a nice job looking off the linebackers, just checks it down to Darren Sproles.
2nd down and 3. Sproles remains. Inside they come. It's the tight end urge once again, pushed out of play by Kerrigan. Works his way to about the 35-yard line, picks up 7 on the play. Another 1st down for Philly.
Yeah, you see him making substitutions. I mean, Washington trying to run on some fresh bodies to rush the passer. That's the hardest thing to do, Kevin, I think, physically in football. Be able to put your hand on the ground and rush the passer for 60 minutes.
With the 7th play of the drive, it's McCoy. Brought down from behind off the line. Cofield catches up to him about the 24-yard line of Washington, close to a gain of 10.
Well, these perimeter runs can really hurt you, and they do a really nice job. You see him pull the right or the left guard and the left tackle. Mathis is out in front. Peters. This is an athletic offensive line that can get out and pull.
1st and 10. Sproles. Following some of that blocking, and boy, he got a good one on the play by Gardner, who's jumped around the league. The gain is to the 17-yard line with a tackle by Ryan Clark. And we have a player who's knocked a little bit woozy on that gain of 7 right there. I'm intrigued by what you just said, an athletic offensive line. And I guess you got to be that to play in this kind of offense.
Well, yeah, you got to get out in the front of screens. You got to be able to get up on the 2nd level in the running game, and they all have the ability to pull for McCoy on those speed sweeps and the perimeter runs. But you've got to be in great shape to play in a Chip Kelly offense, Kevin, because it is fast and furious.
It's exhausting to watch. 2nd down and 3. McCoy slithers. 1st down. Riley got him. It is a gain of 5. They're down to about the 11-yard line. Stacey Dales is on the sideline.
Yeah, guys, just a quick update on linebacker Trent Murphy. He has been taken to the locker room for x-rays. That right hand is not good for him. Return questionable.
And he's developed as the season has gone on, but Orakpo's been a tough guy to replace. Just another thing to put on Jay Gruden's plate. They're at the 11. They got a 1st and 10. Catch and run of McCoy, 18 yards. The big play on this drive, which started back at their 21. McCoy. And he's in for the touchdown. A terrific block by a couple. Kelsey the center and Ertz the tight end leading the way. That is an 11-yard touchdown run by LeSean McCoy.
And Kevin, he runs with great vision and he's patient. He allows this big offensive line. You see Gardner pull, you see Ertz come around, and he can finish. You cannot let him get outside the box. Jim Haslett, the defensive coordinator of the Redskins, has talked all week. The key is to be able to set the edge. Where he really hurts you is when he gets outside with that speed.
And you know, they've been talking a lot in the Philadelphia press about the lack of red zone touches and scoring from McCoy this season.
Yeah, lots been made of it. He's not the biggest back, and earlier in the season especially, they had real difficulty running the ball down inside that 5-yard line.
It's his 5th rushing touchdown of the season with the extra point, putting the Eagles on top 7-3, 1:49 to play in the 1st. Last year, he had 9 rushing touchdowns. This is number 5, but it's an important one for the Eagles who want to stay alive in the playoff race in the NFC. Our game's cable cam is presented by Mazda with these terrific scenics here inside one of the biggest stadiums in the NFL, although they've reduced the size, taking out sections of seats around the rim. LeSean McCoy has just taken it in from 11 yards away, the number 4 rusher in the NFL. And an improvement over game 1 with these teams. Week 3, Andre Roberts is back, the former Cardinal, and doing 88 yards deep. On the kickoff by Cody Parkey. LaShawn McCoy and the Eagles on top 7-3 over Washington, 149 in the first on NFL Network. This Saturday edition of Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Walmart, where you'll find unbeatable prices on this year's top gifts. And by Papa John's, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL. The newly refurbished Washington Monument as the sun sets in the west. Mid-30s here in the nation's capital. We're actually in Landover, Maryland. Here's a 1st and 10 for Robert Griffin III from the 20. Alfred Morris. Not a lot of running room right there. Brought down on the play by Benny Logan. A gain of a yard to the 21. There has been a lot of change, certainly at the quarterback position for the Skins.
Yeah, Kevin, and too much change is never a good thing. 5th change at the quarterback position between Robert Griffin III and Cousins and McCoy. They've kind of gone back and forth. And I say, you show me a team that's had to play 3 or more quarterbacks, and I'll show you a team that's usually at home watching in January. They need continuity and consistency at the quarterback position.
It's a 2nd down and 9. And going deep, and he's got him. Jackson. He beat Fletcher and bounces back up and takes it to the 27-yard line of Philadelphia. Robert Griffin has just hit the ex-Eagle, the electrifying Deshaun Jackson for 51 yards.
And Kevin, really not surprised to see him go after Bradley Fletcher, who struggled last week against Dez Bryant. You can't handle speed. And that's exactly what Deshaun Jackson gives you. Jay Gruden said we've got to take some shots early and hit them against this Philadelphia defense.
Extra defensive back has been brought in by the Eagles here with a 1st and 10 from the 28. Pistol. Morris. Blocked by the tight end Paul. That opens up the door. Breaking the Kendricks tackle. To the pylon. Touchdown.
Well, some poor tackling here.
With every scoring play reviewed. And
oh yeah, really nice effort there by Alfred Morris, extending that ball over the goal line.
If it does count, that'll be his 8th rushing touchdown. It does, and here is the extra point put in by Forbath. And the Eagles are down for a 2nd time. Washington has captured their 2nd lead. They get a long pass to Jackson at 51. And then Alfred Morris gunning for 1,000 again. Rumbles in from 28 for the Skins, who lead by 3. Rich, a couple of the top running backs in the NFL putting their fingerprints on this game early.
Yeah, McCoy got it started with an 11-yard run. Alfred Morris with a 28-yard run. Look at these running backs and what they've done. McCoy, 3,579 yards. Charles, 3,746 yards. Alfred Morris, 2nd, 38-36. And, of course, Marshawn Lynch, the beast, out there in Seattle with almost 4,000 yards since 2012.
The numbers so far, Morris and McCoy.
When you have quarterbacks that are struggling a little bit, these 2 players need to be very active and busy.
Well, they can stabilize an offense, can't they?
Absolutely.
Out of the reach of Huff. Touchback to the 20-yard line. And another possession for Sanchez and the Philly offense. With NFL Now, watch exclusive behind-the-scenes videos of your favorite teams. Watch episodes of Football Life. Plus, see the Rich Eisen show live 5 days a week or on demand. Get NFL Now at NFL.com/now. Let's see how the Eagles respond here. They usually get going pretty good. Sanchez comes out, Rich, and he's gone 7 of 9. He does have a fumble so far tonight.
Yeah, he was sharp, Kevin, that last drive. 4 of 4. Did a nice job spreading the ball around. The time clock, that's the big question with Mark. He's got to play fast, and he gets himself in trouble when he holds the football.
Sprawls out of the backfield on 1st and 10, a little bit low and drop. Riley is there. The coverage on Macklin, it's incomplete as Jackson Jeffcoat continues to take the place of Trent Murphy. Outside backer injured, the rookie. Got a couple drops by the Eagles so far in this game.
Yeah, but a better throw there by Mark Sanchez gets it done. As I studied the tape, especially the last 2 games, he missed a number of throws last week that you have to be able to make.
Second down 10 for Sanchez. Underneath, same play, and it's a catch by Macklin, who's out to about the 27, with the tackle made by E.J. Biggers on a gain of 6.
You mentioned it looked like a very similar play, and the Eagles, it's not a ton of volume. What Chip Kelly does a really nice job of is mixing up the personnel and the formations.
Rushing touchdowns both ways. We return to Washington after these messages. You're watching Thursday Night Football, Saturday edition. Back in Landover, you see our score. Rushing touchdowns by McCoy for the Eagles. Alfred Morris for the Redskins. Eagles in the thick of it in the playoffs, but they've got to win, and they need some help. Namely, they need Dallas to lose. Philadelphia's got to win the rest of the way to stay alive in it. 3rd and 4, starting the second quarter. Sanchez, the rush, hit, and down. At the bottom, they got Bowen. On top, they got the rookie, Jackson Jeffcoat. Second sack, loss of 2, back to the 23.
Kevin, they do a nice job there with their 4-man rush, and that's what they've talked all week about, trying to get to Sanchez and not having to bring 5 and 6. Jeffcoat does a nice job setting the edge and coming off on Sanchez when he steps up.
Second set to punt, Donnie Jones. Andre Roberts, fair caught, about 42-yard line. That's going to give some decent beginning field position for Robert Griffin III on a 33-yard punt. As you take a look at Roberts, there's a little Deshaun Jackson for you, who has already put a nice dent in this game offensively for the Redskins.
Let's take a look at the next-gen stat. Kevin, Deshaun Jackson, he adjusts to the deep ball as well as anybody. You just have to throw it out there and let him go get it. But you look at that speed, and that's what, I don't think it surprises the corner, Bradley Fletcher. He's played with him. He's worked against him in practice. But you've got to be able to disrupt him at the line of scrimmage.
Rhino!
With the 1st and 10 handoff, and it goes to Morris, who is brought down by Fletcher Cox at about the 45-yard line and a gain of 3, finishing up on Jackson. He leads the NFL with 11 receptions now of 40 yards or more, and is number 1 in the league in yards per reception in the league.
And Kevin, that's really what they've struggled with here the last month. The big plays down the field. It's been a difficult season for both Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon. You know, Pierre, he led the league last year with 113 catches. He's got just 62 this year. When you keep switching up the quarterbacks, that hurts the production at wide receiver as well.
Second down and 7. This is Logan Paulson, the blocking tight end. And he bulldozes his way upfield and getting the play by a couple. It's close to a first down, gain of about 6, maybe more.
Well, they take the shot down the field.
So now 3rd down and about a yard for the Redskins. And this has been a very poor 3rd down team, as we mentioned before, this season.
Well, you got the fullback in there, and Young. Look for Morris.
Oh, whoops. Cox.
Well, he is so quick. It wasn't even a hard count.
No, it wasn't. It's going to be on the Eagles.
He's just trying to get a jump.
Encroachment, number 91 defense, 5-yard penalty. That results in a first down.
Rich, you've been watching a lot of tape on him. You've been very impressed with his play this season on that defensive line.
Well, he caught my eye, Kevin, watching tape this week. I think, as you said, he's had a Pro Bowl season without maybe the stats. He spends a lot of time in the opponent's backfield. He's got really good quickness, and I think his ability to strike with his hands and control that offensive lineman.
Former first-round pick out of Mississippi State 3 years ago. It's a first down to the 44. Fake to Morris. Looking for Garçon, who led the league in receiving a season ago. Numbers lower this year to the 32-yard line. He was working on defensive back Kerry Williams. It's a pickup of 12 and another first down.
Well, they're doing a nice job with the play action. That gets the freeze. They get the man-to-man coverage that they want in the corner. He's got his eyes in the backfield the whole time. Not a great throw by Robert Griffin III, but a good adjustment there by Pierre Garçon.
with a 1st and 10. Morris. And then around his ankles, he finds Michael Kendricks for a gain of 2, down to about the 30-yard line. What about the levels of communication from the sideline, Rich, to the quarterback, Griffin?
Well, I think it's important that it come right from the head coach. For some reason, Jay Gruden actually calls the plays into Sean McVay, the offense coordinator, and then he relays that information to the quarterback. I think that's something that need to get fixed in the offseason. As a quarterback, Kevin, I want to hear directly from the play caller. I don't want something to get lost in translation. Plus, I want the extra time at the line of scrimmage.
Absolutely. 2nd down, long 8. Here he goes. Off the side with a nice defensive play. Michael Kendricks, 4th sack this season. 1st tonight by the Eagle D. He's back to the 42 with the loss of 11.
A good look at Kendricks. He's just going to work on the Pro Bowl left tackle, Trent Williams. And part of the problem with the sacks as they relate to the quarterback, Kevin, is sometimes this offensive line's not sure where he's going to be. Is he going to be at 5 steps, 7 steps? And talking to Jay Gruden, he said almost half of the sacks, the 53 sacks the Redskins have given up this year, are the responsibility of the quarterback.
3rd and 19. They need the 22. He wants deep ball, and Roberts trapped it at the 20-yard line. Kerry Williams was defending. No yellow on the field. They're going to have to punt.
Well, it took a long time to develop, but that's a catchable ball. I mean, you got to be able to make that catch. Really nice throw there by Andre Roberts. Actually, pretty good coverage as well by Kerry Williams. Roberts just can't squeeze it and bring it in.
So that sack kind of took him out of field goal range. And now they'll punt. Tressway, the #1 punter in the NFL in terms of gross punting. Couple left footers here tonight. Sproles is back. And here it's caught by Ryan Grant. At least stopped at about the 6. And so that's where the Eagles will be marooned when we come back. 10:43 in the 2nd quarter. This Saturday edition of Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. And by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL. The White House all dressed up and ready for the holidays. Tomorrow, NFL stars are on the clock as they look in the future to shine in the East-West Shrine Game and Senior Bowl. Live coverage and exclusive access will begin January 17th only on NFL Network with a run by McCoy on 1st and 10, and he picks up 4 in the play with the tackle made by Jarvis Jenkins at the 11.
Kevin, as I said before, I really think LaShawn McCoy needs to get more touches here the next couple of weeks for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think when you look at how they're doing it, whether it's in the screen game, the running game.
2nd and 6, they go to the young and impressive Jordan Matthews, who picks up 10. He's up to the 21-yard line. He didn't catch a pass against the Dallas Cowboys last week, but he catches one right there for a 1st down and a player down, Ryan Clark. And they're booing. There are a lot of Eagle fans here inside the stadium tonight. And
well, they do that every time. They think that it's by design to slow down this Philadelphia offense.
We've had a couple lead changes in this one as they attend to Clark. Will step aside 10-11 in the 2nd quarter from Landover. They're looking at the foot of Ryan Clark, who got off under his own power, but they did assess what was going on. Trenton Robinson is taking his place in the secondary for the Skins with a look at the veteran Clark, who's played a couple Super Bowls in his 8-year time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Began his career with Washington. Looks like he's going to finish his career with the Redskins. The 1st and 10, Sanchez. LaShawn McCoy finds a crack. It's a Jordan Matthews block. Riley Cooper with the block. And he's off to the races and up to the 42 and brought down by Robinson. 22-yard zigzag run to the 43.
Well, this is a terrific run, Kevin. He's just so quick to the hole, and then once he's in there, he's a slashing type runner. Look at his ability to stop and start on a dime and make Redskin defenders miss. I mean, he just has unbelievable vision.
Sproles is in with the 1st and 10. Got by the edge. That was Riley, and then he walks the tightrope and takes it in to Redskin territory. Jenkins got him. A run of 12 down to the 41, 42-yard line of Washington.
The one thing that the Eagles do is when someone needs a blow, they get them out. You know, you see McCoy comes out, Sproles come in. They do the same thing with receivers. But when you're on the field, you've got to do it 100 miles an hour.
They adjusted the out to the 45 with a flag on 1st and 10. It's a pass downfield to the rookie out of Vanderbilt, Matthews. Flag is back at about midfield where the quarterback was setting things up. Looks like it might be on Philly.
Holding number 65 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's right tackle Lane Johnson, who eventually will take the place of Peters over on the left side.
Well, he got beat earlier for a sack, right? Now he's not going to let him beat him back underneath. He just tackles him. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Ryan Kerrigan, he is a handful, Kevin. He's their best pass rusher. He's really their best defensive player by far.
1st and 20 now for Philadelphia. Got a couple lead changes in the game. This is Sproles, who came in a trade with New Orleans and brought down by Kerrigan on a gain of the yard just beyond the 45. Rich, there was a lot of talk with Sanchez and the fact he has struggled the last couple games with inaccurate throws and interceptions, maybe a little arm fatigue or a dead arm. Is there any view of that when you're watching tape?
I don't think so, Kevin. I mean, look, he hasn't played the entire season. We visited with him last night. He looks good, looks sharp. I just think sometimes things happen a little bit quicker. It gets sped up for him. He misses some throws he can't miss. But I think when the protection's good and he's in rhythm, he can be very effective.
Down he goes here, Trevardo Williams. 2 years out of UConn, signed to the active roster a couple weeks ago. 3rd Washington sack, back to the 40-yard line with a loss of 5.
And just going to beat him up the field. I mean, it's Jason Peters. He's a really good tackle. He gets pushed back. He gets off balance a little bit, and he's not able to handle Williams.
Williams made his NFL debut just last week. He's out of UConn, second-year player.
What was Jay Gruden telling us? He says, we got 4 or 5 guys. I don't even know their last names. These guys, when we get them on Wednesday.
Including this kid.
Right. We get them on Wednesday, and they wind up starting for us on Sunday.
Another Redskin down. This is Will Compton, our second quarter clock at 8:16. How about Jim Haslett, the defensive coordinator for the Redskins? The Redskins have used an NFL high 35 different players on defense this season.
And they make no excuse about it. I mean, injuries are going to happen, Kevin. The one thing about Jim Haslett, he's not afraid to play with young players.
They need the 35. It's 3rd and 25. The dancing Sanchez, the driving Williams, and downfield he's got his wide receiver, Jordan Matthews, the catch. He makes the grab at the 34, 25-yard pickup, and it should be enough. It is a first down. What a play.
One of the problems when you only rush 3, it gives the quarterback a lot of time to move around, and he's able to find the receiver down the field. I mean, that should never happen in a 3rd and long situation.
Matthews with 58 catches this season. It's Sanchez with the fake to McCoy and down to about the 27-yard line. With a run of 6 for Mark Sanchez.
We don't see a lot of that with these quarterbacks. Chip Kelly's offense is much harder to defend when the quarterback's a threat to run. You don't really have that with Sanchez and Foles. So they've been forced to adapt and adjust the system to mesh with the quarterback skill sets. I think that's what Chip Kelly does as well as any coach in football.
Further down about 4. Here comes McCoy, shifting gears, sliding through. Flag is thrown. Tackle made by linebacker Will Compton at about the 22-yard line on McCoy. Eagles.
Holding number 71 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
That's Jason Peters has had kind of a tough afternoon so far. So if the Eagles lose, they are eliminated from the playoffs. If they win, they stay alive, but they need some help, namely from Dallas, who play the Colts tomorrow on CBS.
Well, you look at this division, Kevin, it's been crazy. And of course, Dallas, they clinched the NFC East with a win and a Philly loss or tie. So they're watching this game very closely as well.
2nd and 14, here comes McCoy. Nice play in the secondary. Philip Thomas came like a missile. Brings him down, gain of a yard. He's to the 40-yard line. Thomas is in there taking the place of the injured Brandon Merriweather, who is out for the season now. They just put him on IR.
Yeah, he comes flying in. You'll see on the top of your screen. He's a physical run support player. He's a safety that is much more comfortable down around the line of scrimmage.
He missed all of last season with a foot injury. Now just getting his NFL footing, 3rd and 15. They need the 25. It's Sproles. Block from Ertz. Block from Cooper. Tackle was made by Riley down about the 22-yard line. 19-yard pickup on 3rd and 15. Another Eagle first down.
Just watch how quick these linemen get out in front of the screen. Kevin, this is amazing. The Eagles been in a bunch of 3rd and long situations. One of the problems with a guy like Sproles is it's hard to find him. He's only 5'6" tall. And you get lost behind that big offensive line. You got Peters and Mathis and Kelsey running at you. It's hard to find 43.
How about converting 3rd downs on this drive? They've converted 3rd and 25 and 3rd and 15.
And four times already they've been in 3rd and 10 or longer situations.
Sanchez looking deep and then dives down to about the 17-yard line, and that's right there and hit by Golston. You said a minute ago the running quarterback in this offense would add more to what would make it even more difficult than it already is?
Well, part of it is that zone option read, and I mean, you know, that's really Chip Kelly's background at Oregon, and of course you don't have quarterbacks that they run those plays, but the quarterbacks really don't pull the ball out and keep it very much.
Second down, shifting gears, Sproles. Now he's in a foot race with Breeland. He's down to about the 7-yard line. Breeland there makes the stop. It's a gain of 8, and Sproles on this drive. 1 of 12, 1 of 8 right there. A catch and run of 19 moments ago.
Yeah, you just look at this. He winds it all the way back. I mean, it's amazing. You've got to do your best to set the edge with both of these backs. Look at the quickness, the suddenness, the ability to change direction. That's what always has made Darren Sproles such a difficult tackle in the open field.
You don't think Rivers misses him in San Diego or Breeze in New Orleans?
Oh, my goodness.
Huh?
Yeah. He's a quarterback's best friend.
Oh, my gosh. First and goal at the 8. McCoy. And cuts the corner. Golston knocked him out. He was patient with that run. And he's out of bounds at about the 4 with the gain of 5 on that first and goal. And down is lineman Kedrick Golston. He's battled a hamstring injury. He's missed games because of that. Now looks like he's holding his hand. We already have one player out, and that is Trent Murphy, a hand injury, out for the game. He was the starting outside linebacker, and opposite Ryan Kerrigan.
I think he just hurt his left shoulder, Kevin, diving for that tackle. He gets that left shoulder way above his ear.
One thing this defense of the Redskins, Rich, needed to do tonight was, as you say, keep McCoy in the box and not let him get outside. He has gotten outside at times tonight.
Yeah, you see him right there extend the arm. It just kind of comes down on it awkwardly. That's kind of a self-inflicted wound.
But if there's some space for McCoy, watch out, huh?
Yeah, no question, Kevin. I mean, Jim Haslett, the defensive coordinator of the Redskins, has preached all week, really with both of these backs setting the edge, and that's really where they hurt you. It's not so much the power running between the tackles, it's the perimeter runs, and sometimes they come off of their ability to bounce it when that hole up inside isn't there.
This drive started back at the 7-yard line of Philadelphia. Second down and goal at the 3. Sanchez chased by Kerrigan and looking for Ertz. Coverage on the play by Ryan Clark. It's incomplete. They're going for the second-year tight end, Zach Ertz.
Yeah, this would have taken a perfect throw. You see Ertz, he's just going to run the corner out. He's got some separation on Ryan Clark, but Sanchez throws it a little bit high. Not the easiest throw as you come off of that play fake and you're moving to your right, but it's one you've got to make in this part of the field.
Third and goal at the 3. Polk is in as a running back. Had a couple of rushing touchdowns last week. Sanchez. Cooper, touchdown. And they work on Emerson. 3-yard touchdown throw by quarterback Mark Sanchez of the Eagles. And they've taken the lead.
Well, they've got one receiver working outside, and you love to throw these slant routes to bigger receivers, guys like Riley Cooper, who are 6'4" and 230 pounds. Sanchez does a nice job putting it right on his body.
And a third lead change. 94-yard drive. And a beauty by Sanchez with one more tacked on, 14-10. The Eagles 9-5 coming in, losing 2 straight, lost to Dallas last week. They need to win to stay alive. Cooper helping him right there with the touchdown reception, his 2nd of the season. Terrific drive led by Sanchez, especially on 3rd downs on that drive.
Really amazing, Kevin. No sense of panic for Mark Sanchez. 3rd and 25, he finds Matthews. 3rd and 15, a little quick screen to Darren Sproles. He does the rest. Of course, they finish it off. The touchdown throw to Riley Cooper on 3rd and 3. Look at Mark Sanchez, 5 of 5 for 74 yards on that drive.
He had 5 different receivers.
They don't panic. They get in bad situations. That's a sign of a good offense.
Well, good signs too from Sanchez early. He's had a couple of rocky starts last 2 games. Both games they've lost. With the ensuing kickoff, our 3rd lead change today. And picked up by Roberts. And eventually brought down by Trey Burton. 19-yard return. The only live nightly show dedicated to the NFL with news from across the league and the most in-depth coverage you won't find anywhere else. NFL Total Access. Monday through Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern, live on NFL Network. Here come the Redskins now with 3 lead changes in the game from the 27-yard line. And Robert Griffin III has played well. He played well last week in taking Colt McCoy's place in the first half against the Giants.
And he had a really impressive 2-minute drive right before the half last week in New York.
Lead here, each team with 3 timeouts remaining. And good time with the deep drop. Good block by Williams, the left tackle. And here comes Griffin on the move. And self-preservation has been one of the things that Jay Gruden has been stressing. Runs for 4 to the 31.
Well, sometimes you don't know, not always sure what the quarterback's looking at, Kevin. The protection's good enough here. At some point, you got to pull the trigger. He's got Logan Paulson, and he doesn't throw it. But he does the next best thing, pulls the ball down and runs. Sometimes something happens. He sees color, something flashes, and it gets him off his primary.
It's a 2nd down and 6 for Griffin. Outside, Darrell Young, the fullback. Hit by Bradley Fletcher. Then hit by Kendrick. Brought down at about the 34-yard line on a gain of 3. The one thing when Griffin had to sit, Rich, is he got good perspective, the coaches thought, by sitting and watching for a while.
Yeah, you know, you think to yourself, what do you really learn when you don't get a chance to play? Situation. You and I sat down with him on Friday, and he doesn't want to go through that experience again. He doesn't. I think you always learn at this level, but not an easy thing to go through.
Little 3rd and 3 outside, and Reed trying to get it with one hand, and felt maybe the pressure being applied across the way by Malcolm Jenkins. It's 3 and out, and the Redskins have got a punt.
And sometimes the easy throws he makes look difficult. I mean, you can't miss that throw in the back shoulder.
We've always talked about the footwork too, and sometimes it's just not right with Griffin.
Yeah, that's part of it. And I think, you know, he's one of those guys, Kevin. I think, you know, you're not sure where his confidence is. The game speeds up, and his mechanics and footwork and fundamentals are compromised. And that's something that Jay Gruden continues to drill with him week in and week out.
2nd consecutive punt by the Skins, and Wayne from the 11. Sproles hit and brought out there by the Redskins. Davis got him. 55-yard punt, 6-yard return. We are at the 2-minute warning. 3 lead changes in the first half. Eagles on top. First half resume for the Eagles. Are going to get it again. It's the number of plays. Chip Kelly told us last night that they're important, not the time of possession.
Right. The only way to stop, I think, this Eagles offense is to limit their number of snaps. They've already got 37 snaps, Kevin, here in the first half. And just in talking to Jim Haslett, the Redskins defensive coordinator, he said, hey, we can't be on the field for 35 minutes. If so, that means we're defending 80 or 85 plays. We'll lose. against the Eagles.
Here's McCoy on 1st and 10. There was a block there by Mathis, and he takes it up, and he's brought down on the play by Thomas. A gain of 6 already. Now 15 more plays run by the Eagles than the Skins.
And part of it is they said we've got to win on 3rd down. You give up a 3rd and 25, you give up a 3rd and 15, or 3rd and 3 on that last possession.
Sanchez on 2nd down and 4. There goes a flag. It's low to Cooper. The coverage by Thomas. One hopper to about the 36. Like we said, the flag was thrown on the play. 1:28 to go. 3 timeouts Philly, 3 timeouts Skins.
Lane Johnson's got to start moving his feet, Kevin. He's getting beat out of his
There are
stance.
fouls by both teams on the play. Holding, number 65 offense. Illegal use of hands to the face. Number 99 defense. Those fouls offset. Repeat, 2nd down.
We tried to give you the main scenarios for the Eagles tonight. There are more that are deeper, but even if the Eagles would lose, if Dallas would lose their next 2 games, in a tie, Philadelphia wins the division.
And, Chip Kelly, look, there's all these different scenarios, Kevin. All they can do is take care of business here tonight. I mean, that's really where it all starts as they lead the Redskins 14-10.
2nd down 4. Sanchez. Johnson with the block at the right tackle. This is Ertz once again. He's been a big performer. Brought down by Compton. Wheels his way for 10 up to the 33-yard line.
Well, I really like Zach Ertz. He's got a really good feel. Smart guy, 2nd-year player out of Stanford. He along with Selleck, that's a pretty good duo at the tight end position.
This rolls in. It is a 1st and 10. Again underneath to the 41. Again, it's Ertz, and the tackle made by Clark on a gain of 8. And a timeout taken. Eagles will use their first with 1:02 to play in the first half. They're up by 4 on NFL Network. I'd like to remind you, coming up, it's the Lexus halftime report. Rich Eisen, Marshall Falk, Steve Mariucci, and Michael Irvin will have highlights and analysis of the first half. They'll preview our 2nd game, Chargers and Niners. Coming up next, Sanchez in the last stages here, Rich, of the first half, is at 7 of his last 8 through the air.
Kevin, he has played well here in the first half. 14 of 18 for a $153. The touchdown to Riley Cooper. Moving around, he's keeping his eyes down the field. He's made some big-time throws on 3rd down.
So they just use a timeout. 2 remaining. 2nd down and 3. Sproles on the move. Dodging defender Sanchez. Has Ertz tackled by Riley. And he's got a 1st down catch. Picking up 4 to the 44 of the Eagles.
I've been really impressed with Sanchez and his ability to move in the pocket, slide, reset his feet, make good accurate throws.
1st and 10 for Mark Sanchez. Good block by Kelsey. He's got Macklin, 39-yard line. Brought down by Clark. It's a pickup of 17 yards, and Jeremy Macklin with the grab. So Ertz has been big. You just saw moments ago a career-high 6 receptions today with another timeout. 1 left for the Eagles. So in the East, if Dallas and the Eagles finish in a tie, Philly wins it. But Dallas will have the Colts coming up, and Philadelphia, regardless if they win, guaranteed to be alive. See, they also come into that wild card conversation with Green Bay and Detroit. If they both lose this weekend, then they too will play Week 17, Green Bay and Detroit. So the Eagles just have to take care of their own business and hope for some help. Sanchez on this drive 4-4. Started back at the 17. They got a 1st and 10. Good time. Blocking by Peters. Over the fingertips of Matthews, who was covered on the play by Breeland at about the 26. With an incompletion. And the clock at 27 seconds in the first half.
Well, they need more from the rookie, Jordan Matthews, Kevin. He's been quiet the last 3 weeks, just 6 catches for 74 yards in 3 games. Not an easy catch. But you got to make it. They're really excited about their rookie wide receiver.
All-time leading receiver in the history of the Southeastern Conference.
Really good little route runner. Got the size you like.
2nd and 10. Sproles will dance and brought down. Nice read by E.J. Biggers and by Jackson Jeffcoat. They throw him for a loss of a yard back to the 41. Another timeout taken by the Eagles and 21 seconds to go.
Well, we saw this play earlier on the 3rd and 15 to Sproles. Nice job there by the Redskins. Chip Kelly not afraid to repeat plays. They dressed it up a little bit, some window dressing with formations, personnel usage. If you're going to play in Chip Kelly's offense, everybody's interchangeable. You have to know every position.
Well, coming up next, we'd like to remind you Phillip Rivers and the Chargers look to keep their playoff hopes alive when they take on the Niners. They're now out. It's a special Saturday edition of Thursday Night Football coming up next live from the West Coast on CBS and NFL Network. The Niner offense is only 5 touchdowns in the last 5 games. They got some issues out there. 3rd and 11. Eagles tonight on 3rd and 10 or longer, 3 of 4. Sanchez, they aren't looking. Sproles, covered by Compton. Incomplete, 4th down. Clock at 16 seconds. Let's see what they end up doing.
Well, you look at Sproles, he's not even looking for the ball, and when he finally turns back, it's already gone. Clearly not on the same page.
Yeah, you're talking about the defensive communication to make sure they're aligned. How about the offensive communication with all the different parts that move on this offense?
Good look at Deuce Staley, the former Eagle running back coach, coaches running backs.
So they're going to go for a punt. Donnie Jones, the 34-year-old punter out of LSU, will punt the ball. Redskins have 3 timeouts. Let's see how they align themselves. Delay.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Would have been a long field goal attempt.
Even for Cody Parkey, who has been great, he is 4 of 4 from 50 and beyond. Jones to punt, Roberts is deep. Roberts will let it fly over his head. Caught at the 7-yard line and grabbed there by Nolan Carroll. On a 39-yard punt. Former Dolphin Nolan Carroll, who is terrific in dime defense and the guy who has been a good pickup by this team just this year. So 3 timeouts for the Skins. They're back just inside their 8.
They'll just run it out here. Going to halftime down 14-10. And Kevin, not a ton of offense. Just 95 yards passing for Robert Griffin III. 48 yards rushing.
They'll go to a knee here. We had 3 lead changes in the first half. Griffin had some nice plays, actually, as he makes the start. 3rd different time this season he's been called upon to start, taking the place of the injured Colt McCoy. Coming up, the Lexus halftime report. Rich Eisen, Marshall Faulk, Steve Mariucci, and Michael Irvin will have highlights and analysis of the first half, and they'll preview the Chargers and Niners to the sideline and Stacey Dales.
Well, Coach, you wanted to run a chunk of plays and you wanted to win on 3rd down. What have you been pleased with and what have you been displeased with?
Yeah, we should have converted right there at the end. We'd like to get a little bit more points, and we're playing okay offensively. We've run a lot of plays, but we got to convert. We got to get more points against these guys.
Thanks, Chip.
Thanks.
He intrigues you, doesn't he, Rich? Huh?
You know, I love how he calls plays, Kevin. It's fast and furious. He makes no excuses. Just wants as many punches as he can get in 60 minutes.
Touchdown run by McCoy. Touchdown pass to Cooper. 14-10 at the half. The Eagles on NFL Network. First half has contained 3 lead changes. Eagles on top with a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. 14-10 over the Redskins. Let's do some first half exploration presented by Netflix in the original series Marco Polo with Mark Sanchez hitting Riley Cooper. All a part of our first half here in Landover. Rich Gannon and Kevin Harlan, we wish you a very happy holiday. Great to be here. And Rich, what about the Eagles now, as they are very much alive in the playoff picture, and what will they have to do here in the second half to put this one away?
Kevin, a lot of the same things they did in the first half. I thought Mark Sanchez played really well. I think they had to continue to keep the pressure on this Redskins offense. The Redskins only had 24 plays, and they were 1 of 5 on 3rd down. So they're getting off the field on 3rd down. They have to limit the explosive play. Deshaun Jackson went for 51, clean that up. But they're doing the right things. They just got to keep the pressure on here in the second half.
And your impression, as we take a look at the first half numbers, your impression of Robert Griffin III in his start tonight?
It's been so-so, Kevin. I mean, you know, just you look at the numbers, just 7 of 12. But look at the plays. I mean, 45 plays to 24, time of possession. And that's really what gets you. When you only have 24 snaps offensively, there's not a lot you can do with that. So it's going to be important for RG3 and this Redskins offense to start converting on some third downs. As I mentioned, just 1 of 5 on third down in the first half.
Redskins defense has been on the field for 45 snaps. That was a concern of Jim Haslett. As we had the Eagles winning the opening toss, they received, so they'll kick off to start our second half here in Landover. And Andre Roberts. He'll take it. Malcolm Jenkins, and the ball is loose, and the Eagles look like they've recovered. The Eagles were victimized by this last week against Dallas. And the Cowboys got it early to begin the game there. To begin the second half here, looks like the Eagles have gotten it on a turnover by Andre Roberts. On the return to the bottom of the pile, Nolan Carroll, number 23.
Well, clearly it gets popped out. You're right, Kevin. Nolan Carroll right there to scoop it up. Boy, that's a big turnover to start the second half.
How about the big plays turned in by the Eagles special teams this season?
Unbelievable. 4 block kicks, 4 kick returns for touchdowns. Returned a block punt for a touchdown. It's one of the best special teams units in football. Dave Phipp, the special teams coordinator of the Eagles, does an outstanding job with this group.
It's Jay Gruden, who's lost 6 consecutive games, coming in, a record of 3-11. A turnover right there by Andre Roberts, who's going to be the number 2 receiver. Then they signed Jackson, so he became the 3rd guy.
Good look at Malcolm Jenkins, who actually popped it out. Love it when starters are running down and covering kicks.
LaShawn McCoy, it's 1st and 10, chased by Riley near the 15-yard line. And picks up a couple on the play. Mark him out at the 14-yard line on a gain of 3.
When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles this year, Kevin, they have struggled coming out at the half. 5 turnovers in the first drive of the second half. But boy, this is just what they wanted. They get a big play from their special teams. Now they're in scoring range here early in the third quarter.
And they just moved the spot, Rich. They had him initially at the 13, back to the 15, 2nd down and 9. Sanchez, McCoy, dancing with Riley. And finally brought down Ryan Clark out there, and Breland, it's a loss of a yard. He'll go back near the 16.
Well, LaShawn McCoy got great respect for what he's been able to accomplish, Kevin. You look at the numbers, the Eagles are 20-3 when he rushes for over 100 yards. He's already got 70.
So here's the 3rd and 10 coming up for Philly. Sanchez has hit 5 different receivers on 3rd down tonight. Bring back out Matthews, who's really been clutch. 3rd down receptions this season.
And he's been great down in the red zone. 9 red zone receptions, 6 have gone for touchdowns.
Sproles is in for McCoy. Sanchez and incomplete. Emerson was defending Riley Cooper on a slant with an incomplete pass. 4th and 10, they'll go for 3.
Well, he's trying to throw the double post, and this is a dangerous throw. Sometimes you just gotta trust it. You'll see that post coming in the back door there. Sanchez lets this one go. The corner, Emerson is actually in front of the receiver. Gotta see throws in that part of the field.
Cody Parkey is out there, the number 2 scorer in the National Football League, battling a groin issue. Maybe that's why they didn't try that long field goal before. 34-yard try here, and he is wide right. No good. So the defense holds the Eagle offense to a field goal try. They don't get it. And it's still a 4-point game. Parkey misses for only the 3rd time this season in 32 kicks. This Saturday edition of Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Netflix and the original series Marco Polo. All episodes now streaming only on Netflix. And by Craftsman. This holiday season, give the gift of Craftsman. With work starting on the Capitol building. A missed field goal, 34-yarder moments ago by Parkey.
Yeah, good snap, good hold. You see Donnie Jones, slight lean to the right as those right-footed kickers like. It'll make you sick. Wasted opportunity there by the Eagles.
After the fumble by Roberts, a play fake here. 1st and 10. Robert Griffin, he's got Deshaun Jackson. Hit by Fletcher, brought down by Malcolm Jenkins, 38-yard line. It's a 1st down, pick up a 14 to Stacey Dales.
Well, Kevin, clearly Jay Gruden disappointed with the turnover to start the half, but has to be encouraged by the fact that his defense got off the field on third down. He told me in the half, coming out of the locker room after addressing his team, horrible on third down defensively situations, 25, 15, whatever the case may be. He said, we've got to get our defense off the field, give them a blow, as Rich alluded to earlier.
All right, Stacey, from the 37, it's a 1st and 10. Here's Alfred Morris. He's brought down by Fletcher Cox and a gain of 5 and up to the 42.
Alfred Morris is a good runner, coming up on his 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard season. Only one other player in Redskins history has done that, Stephen Davis. He's a workhorse. You see him. Get back in there. He's coming off. Get back in there. You're not done. These good backs, Kevin, they seem to get better as the game goes on. Seem to get stronger in the second half.
The other 2nd down and 5. Morris again. Good block by Laval, the former Brown. He's up to the 47 as Morris. Close to a 1st down. Big pile there to bring him down. You know, Morris and Marshawn Lynch, the only two to get to 1,000 yards in each of the last 3 seasons, of course, assuming that Morris gets there, and he's very close.
Yeah, you look at Morris, and he didn't get off to a great start this season, but he's really poured it on here the last 3 or 4 weeks. And part of the problem is we talk about the changes, Kevin, at the quarterback position, how that impacts Alfred Morris. The running game has changed significantly when RG3 is not in there. There's not that threat of him to run, which allows defenses to load up on Alfred Morris.
Silas Red is in on 1st and 10. Look out, here comes Kendricks. There goes the elusive Griffin. And then hits the deck wisely because Graham was there waiting for him at the 47-yard line of Philadelphia with a scramble of 7 by Robert Griffin III.
Boy, does a really nice job when it's not there. Just watch him reverse field. I mean, that's what Robert Griffin III can do when you see the pressure come up the field. He's got to step up inside. It's not there. He's able to pump fake.
And in the preseason, Rich, all they talked about was preserving your health. And I see him hitting the deck much quicker tonight than he has maybe in the earlier parts of the season.
Well, he's taken some hits. I think he's gotten smarter when he decides to pull the ball down and run.
2nd down and 3. Silas Red. Bo Allen was there among a couple to bring him down with a gain of 4 down to the 42-yard line of the Eagles.
You know, this Redskin team, Kevin, we've been talking about what's at stake for the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a lot at stake for the Washington Redskins as well. I mean, there's some of these players, you're on a 3-win team. Everybody is being evaluated this time of the year, especially the quarterback position. They've got to find out, is Robert Griffin III the long-term answer at the quarterback position?
Morris back in. 1st down and 10. Alfred Morris, Chester the block. And he was hit initially by Cedric Thornton in the gain to the 39, and he picks up 3. Tomorrow on NFL Game Day morning, the incredible story of an NFL star who gave up his career to save his brother's life. It's a good one. You won't want to miss it. NFL Game Day morning tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, live on NFL Network. And what about the coach of the Redskins, Jay Gruden? A lot of criticism about him and his longevity here.
Well, you know, I don't think the messaging has been good for this football team, whether it's the head coach, the quarterback, how they've handled that situation.
2nd and 10 to Griffin. He's got Garcon on a slant to the 21. Brought down by Bradley Fletcher. It's a gain of 17 yards on the play. It's a 1st down to the 21.
You're going to see what play action does to the linebacker. I mean, you get that squeeze, and now you get the big opening in the middle of the field when Matthews steps up. Kevin, they've got to find a way. Nice job there with the mesh. Good fake. They've got to find a way to push the ball down the field to Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garcon.
Got Morris here on 1st and 10. Look, he got away from Fletcher Cox. And then he moves downfield, and Casey Matthews will bring him down with a gain of 5 down to the 17. Matthews taking the place of the injured DeMeco Ryans.
Well, you really miss a guy like DeMeco Ryans. I mean, just the experience in there, the communication, the ability to help set the front. These other guys have done a nice job. You look at Matthews. Doesn't quite have the size or the physicalness inside that you get with a guy like DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah, that's a good point. They said they lost their quarterback when he was injured. That's on defense.
The guy makes all the calls. It's a soothing, calming influence on the rest of the group.
With a 2nd down and 5 in the 9th play of the drive, it's Jordan Reed who's brought down by Boykin. and the gain of a yard. Brandon Boykin, the slot cornerback in that nickel. To the 16-yard line.
When you look at Reed, he's going to start on the left side of the formation, a little under route here. Really nice job by Boykin. He's not fooled at all. He knows he's got the tight end in man-to-man coverage.
Silas Redd is back in there. 3rd down and 4. Redd began at Penn State, then transferred to USC in the Paterno aftermath. Griffin, wide and incomplete for Roberts with the coverage. Oh, and a flag and a late one was thrown, and a player down. Lichtensteiger, the center.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 55 defense for contact to the head of the quarterback. 15-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And Brandon Graham has taken the place of the injured Trent Cole tonight for the Eagle D.
Well, just look, Brandon Graham's going to come from the right side of the screen, and you can't really see from that angle.
Rich, the center's down as the Eagles have let the Redskins down to their 8. They'll have it 1st and goal. Another Redskin injury, 7:49. Redskins on the move, down by 4 on NFL Network. Working on the snapping arm of the center, Corey Lichtensteiger, who was the starting left guard last year. They moved him to center this year. Now Chester will be the new center.
He goes from right guard to center. They'll bring in Spencer Long, the rookie, to play guard. So now you change out not one position, Kevin, but 2.
1st and goal at the 8.
Set! Hey, kick! Ready!
Oh, geez, these pre-snap penalties have been a killer this year for the Redskins.
Delay of game, offense.
How does that happen?
5-yard penalty, first down.
See, Jay Gruden, what are you doing? And Kevin, the penalties, the pre-snap penalties, delay of games, there's wasted timeouts because they can't get lined up properly. Some communication issues. You can see the frustration from the play caller.
So as a quarterback, give me the mechanics.
You got to look at, there's a play
Okay.
clock right there. They got him right down by the end zone. It's the first thing you got to do as a quarterback. Come out and take a look at the play clock.
Hey, kick!
1st and goal at the 13 now.
Ready! Patient!
Morris, blocked by Laval, and then stacked up with not a whole lot there. Matthews among a couple to make the stop. He was at the bottom of the pile. The gain of 1. You're saying you used to come out before the game and walk the field?
Well, I'd always find out where that play clock is. Now, if you're Robert Griffin III, you
know
play
where it is,
here.
yeah.
You know where it is. But every snap, when I came out of the huddle, I'd always check.
First thing.
Yeah, because I want to see how much time's left. And some of this stuff, there's a lot that happens at the line of scrimmage. We've got these kill packages where we kill from a run to a pass, pass to a run, but you still got to take a peek. And too often, it's become a problem for the Redskins on offense.
2nd goal at the 12. Griffin, Garcon, nicely moves inside. Hit by Jenkins and works his way down to the 3. Pierre Garcon with a catch and run of 9, and a flag is down back at about the 18.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 75 defense.
Jeez.
That's penalty.
Vinny Curry.
At the end of the play, automatic. First down.
Well, first, let's take a look at the play. These bubble screens have been great. You see, get the block downfield. Pierre Garcon, he cuts it back across the field, gets up. And it's a big part of what they do. And then they're going to, I don't know. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I wish I was playing quarterback.
I know
you can't
you-
touch these guys anymore.
And you would
When I played, you could hit me in the face, you kick me, you could step on me, you could spit on me. It's all good.
Hey, we can do
now
it.
you can't do anything.
We can do it in the booth here if you want.
I know.
1st and goal at the 1.
Wow.
Young,
Easy.
Darrell Young has just given the Redskins the lead midway in the 3rd. 1-yard touchdown run by the fullback. His 2nd touchdown run this season.
It's like 2 ships passing in the night. I mean, it happens so fast. You see Cox, he's unblocked. He runs right by the fullback as he hits to the end zone.
And you know what? Lichtensteiger got back in and offered a terrific block on the play. 4th lead change and tack on 1 more for the Redskins, who've lost 6 straight. Eagles in the thick of the playoffs. trying to get in. They need wins and help. But Washington and Griffin saying otherwise. Take a look at Daniel Snyder in his booth watching his team go up 17-14 on the Philadelphia Eagles. Midway through the third. Darrell Young had a 1-yard touchdown run. Jackson had a reception of 14. Garcon had a reception of 17. With the ensuing kickoff by Forbath out of the reach of Huff and out of the end zone. With a touchback to the 20-yard line for Sanchez and the Eagle-O. Lichtensteiger got back in. Laval with a nice block. And then the bulldozing Young for 6. The owner is happy, and the Eagles are down by 3. Our game's cable cam presented by Mazda. So the Eagles miss a field goal after getting a fumble. Redskins go the other way and get 7. Little change there in the game's complexion.
Yeah, it could have easily been a 14-point swing or a 10-point swing, Kevin.
Sanchez, that one's dropped outside by McCoy. With the coverage on the play, coming up hard. Philip Thomas, 2nd down and 10.
No, you wouldn't think that in this score, 17-14, you got a 3-11 team and a 9-5 team. These are divisional games. You throw the records out the window. These teams are very familiar with one another. As I said before, the Redskins would like nothing more to spoil the Christmas of the Eagles.
That was a 2nd and 10 run by McCoy. Kerrigan was right there with a gain of 3. Hands up to the 23-yard line.
Well, Chip Kelly's an interesting guy. I had a lot of fun visiting with him last night. He's got a unique perspective, unique way of looking at football,
which has been copied around the league.
Really, he's really cutting edge. He does some unique and different things, and I think a lot of teams are already starting to borrow and steal ideas as they study this Philadelphia offense.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 7. Sanchez, Ertz, tackle made by Clark. That's a 1st down for the Eagles. Up to the 34. They pick up 11 yards and move the chains.
I've been really impressed, Kevin, as we watch Sanchez here. He does a nice job with his eyes. You know, you watch him, he's going to start down the field. Watch him to the left, it's not there, and he works right back inside. Doing a nice job going through his progressions. If that outside receiver's not there, you always have a completion when you come back inside those tight ends.
McCoy on 1st and 10. Wrapped up by Riley as he takes it up to the 39 on a gain of 5.
What a luxury when you look at the tight ends that the Eagles have. I think Brent Selleck is maybe one of the most unselfish players in football. He's got this 30 catches. Zach Ertz, he's been more of the receiver with 39, but they do a good job. They're interchangeable.
2nd down and 5, blocked by Selleck right there from McCoy. Bounced around just a bit and finally hit by Golston, who left the game a little bit earlier on a gain of 2. Hey, you said something earlier, but it's how quickly the officials can move that dictates the speed of our Philadelphia offense. How have the officials been moving around?
The umpire, he's going to lose 10 pounds doing this game. You know what I mean? And I think if you're Sanchez,
it's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
I think if you're Jason Kelce, you're like, come on. And you know Chip Kelly, he's on him the whole game. Faster.
You want a young crew if you're an Eagle offense, huh? 3rd down and 3. The block by Lane Johnson on the cross. It's Matthews with a foot race and chased by Emerson and others out of bounds. The catch and run take him to the Redskin 37. 22-yard catch and run by Vanderbilt rookie Jordan Matthews.
And he's just going to run a little shallow cross, and he just beats E.J. Biggers right from the start. See that speed. Able to pull right away from the corner. Nice throw here from Mark Sanchez.
Pretty shot, too, by a terrific CBS and NFL Network crew. 1st and 10. Look at the time for Sanchez. Dodges, winds up, gets away from Golston, then hits the deck about the 32-yard line where Riley was sitting and waiting. It's a gain of 6 by Sanchez on the move.
It was a really nice job by Mark Sanchez. I was looking downfield, and he was looking at Riley Cooper and also looking at Brent Selleck. He almost pulled the trigger, but it's a good thing he didn't. It would have been a very difficult throw. He's doing a much better job taking care of the football.
And he gets something positive out of the play. It's the 8th play is coming up from the 31. 2nd and 4. Sanchez again diving into the grasp of Trevardo Williams on a gain of 3. Rich, if you talk about one thing every week, it's footwork. And I'm sure you've watched the footwork of Sanchez a lot coming into tonight.
Yeah, and this was hard for him to learn, Kevin, this offense, because of some of the zone read and some of the different things that they do. But he said the toughest part was learning all the signals and the code words and the terms.
Right.
You know, you think about it, it's a little bit different than what he was used to in New York.
3rd and 1. McCoy, Johnson a block, and they may have stuffed him. They may have stuffed him with an initial hit by Stephen Bowen. With Hatcher out, Bowen is in there. No gain on the play. They stay at the 28. And they'll try, it looks like, 4-3. They'll go for the field goal.
Well, really nice job. You look at Bowen there. He just fights right across the face of the guard, and he's going to meet the back right in the hole.
So Cody Parkey is out there, the rookie from Auburn, who was actually traded as an undrafted player by the Colts to the Eagles. This is a 46-yard try, little breeze, negligible wind inside the stadium. And he missed again, same exact miss right. He was much closer on the first one, missing from 34. He misses here from 46. This will surprise some people. Redskins by 3, 2:22, third quarter, NFL Network. This Saturday edition of Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Lexus. The Lexus December to Remember sales event is here. Now through January 5th. The MLK Jr. Memorial, Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. Drove right past this as we were going out to the stadium. As a look at Cody Parkey will tell you that he's a little bit down with a couple of missed field goals.
Yeah, Kevin, he's missed 2 in the first 14 games. He's already missed 2 today. He was 29 of 31 coming into today's game. And he missed both right, just pushes.
Yep. So now, from their own 36, the Redskins coming in 3-11, 6 consecutive losses, have it 1st and 10. Oh, and they bobble it. And the Eagles were digging it out, but perhaps Griffin vacuumed it in. It looks like he did back at his 32. Now Lichtensteiger is back in. Remember, he was injured. They took him out for a play, and he had a crucial block in that touchdown run moments ago by the fullback Darrell Young.
Looks like there's some confusion, Kevin, even in terms of what the play was. You got offensive lineman pass block, and it looked like RG3 was in between what to do.
You've mentioned this before, a lot of pre-snap issues with this team, and now snap issues, as we see. 2nd and 14. Red is in. Offering a block. They're going deep to Deshaun Jackson. They beat Fletcher again. To the 18-yard line. Nope. Make it the 13-yard line on a 55-yard completion.
Kevin, very similar to what we saw in the first quarter, and his ability to adjust to the deep ball. I think Deshaun Jackson does it as well as anybody. RG3, he just throws this out there, and you allow Deshaun Jackson just to go get it. Really nice adjustment by Jackson. I think he's not having fun playing against his former team.
It's his 6th 100-yard game receiving this season. 1st and 10, Alfred Morris. And was hit initially by Cedric Thornton on a gain of 2, and he's down to about the 11. Deshaun Jackson. He's had more big catches this year than any other receiver in the league.
Well, that's what he does. I mean, he's able to go and create separation. He can take the top off of defense. But it's been a disappointing season, Kevin. Last week he just had 3 catches for 15 yards. They need more from him. I think at times he's become frustrated with the situation here in Washington when you keep changing quarterbacks and the production and consistency hasn't been there.
2nd and 8, Griffin. Good time. Jackson there, flags are thrown. Nate Allen was trying to defend him.
Wow.
Jackson, a 6-year former Eagle, released in March. And then signed by Washington.
Pass interference. Number 29 defense. That foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
And 9 penalties against the Eagles tonight.
They're starting to add up, Kevin. A lot of them coming from that secondary. You see Nate Allen, he just panics, not used to covering Deshaun Jackson. The Redskins really trying to feature Deshaun Jackson.
1st and goal. 3 tight ends. Young again. Darrell Young with 2 consecutive 1-yard touchdown plunges and holes there to run through.
Very same play they ran before, Kevin. It's the lead dive to the fullback, Darrell Young.
They tack on another. It's a 10-point Redskins lead with 26 seconds to play in the third. The big play, a 55-yard pass. Robert Griffin III to Deshaun Jackson sets up the 1-yard touchdown plunge by Young. And the Redskins have scored 14 third-quarter unanswered points.
And Kevin, a couple big throws by Robert Griffin III. That was a huge throw. And that's really what they've been missing the last 5 or 6 weeks, the explosive plays. They're not good enough to be able to go 80 yards in 12 or 14 plays. And that's one of the things that Jay Gruden told us on Friday. We've got to be able to create some big plays through the air.
So we got one team on the other side trying to stay relevant in the playoff picture in the NFC. This team, the Redskins, trying to figure out their quarterback position, because if Griffin, who is not signed to an extension, goes into next year as a lame duck quarterback, it further complicates the Redskins quarterback situation.
Well, they're like a number of teams out there, Kevin. They've got a difficult decision to make at the quarterback position. They've got to decide what to do. They've got to make a decision on his 5th-year option in May. In Chicago, they just benched Jay Cutler this week in favor of Jimmy Clausen, despite the fact that they're paying him $20 million a year. They've got to be able to find a way. This kid's a talented player. The head coach and the quarterback have to get together and get on the same page.
Well, you always say it's the most important relationship in the building.
And you get the sense it's strained here in Washington.
The ensuing kickoff and Huff from the 2. He has returned one this year for 107 yards. And Young, there goes a flag from way outside. Young was among the many to make the stop on a 26-yard return by rookie Josh Huff.
During the return, holding number 51, the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Emmanuel Acho. Thought your fantasy season was over? It's not. Play for free and you could win a trip to Super Bowl 50. Join today at NFL.com/playoff challenge.
Well, now you've got yourself in a fist fight. You know, you thought maybe you'd come down here and jump on the Redskins early and maybe they'd roll over, but behind 24-14, sometimes you let a team hang around, bad things happen.
Parkey has missed 2 field goals tonight from 34 and 46. He had missed 2 all season long. 1st and 10. Sanchez with some length here, and he goes to Cooper, who's banged by Emerson. With the gain out to about the 20, make it the 30-yard line on a gain of 15 and a first down. That'll be the final play of the third quarter. What a surprise here. 6 consecutive losses for the Redskins at 3-11. Starting Robert Griffin III. Jay Gruden and the Skins up by 10 to the 4th we go on NFL Network. The Week 16 special Saturday doubleheader concludes tonight at 8:25 Eastern Time on CBS and NFL Network. Here, the Eagles at 9-5, who have lost 2 straight coming in to Seattle and Dallas, are down by 10. We start the 4th. It's a 1st and 10 handoff to LaShawn McCoy as he zigzags his way with a flag thrown late to the 39. Gain of 8 as it stands right now. Eagles tonight, 10 penalties.
Holding, number 66 offense.
11 penalties.
10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
So on top of that, 11 penalties, 2 missed field goals, 3 drop passes, and a turnover. That is not a good recipe to win.
No, it's not been clean enough. Too many missed assignments and mental errors. And you see bottom left part of the screen right there. I mean, can't miss that.
The 11th penalty of the game for the Eagles ties their season high. 1st and 20. Cooper. Emerson touches. Flag thrown late. Well after the play, he was at the 30-yard line. It's Carl Cheffers. 4 different officials on this crew have worked a Super Bowl. It is a terrific crew.
It's been sloppy with the penalties, though.
A lot to watch.
Look at the rushing differential. You look at sacks.
There's no foul on the play for an eligible downfield. 2nd down.
So the Eagles If they win, they're guaranteed to be alive in the playoff picture. And they would need Dallas to lose to the Colts tomorrow. Of course, the Redskins have got to win their 2 games. If they finish tied, Dallas and Philly, the Eagles win the division. Even if they lose, they're still relevant with a lot of things getting to happen. And there's a 2nd and 11 pass, and it goes to Cooper, who's brought down again by Emerson, who's covering on the wing. It is a 9-yard pickup, and they're back near the 39-yard line.
And that's the corner you want to go after. Emerson, he has struggled a little bit. Breeland has played better on the other side, but Kevin, these are young corners. Young and inexperienced.
3rd and 2. And it's McCoy, who is banged by Compton on a gain of 6. If the Eagles do end up losing in this game, they need Dallas to lose tomorrow, or they will be eliminated.
I'm looking at LaShawn McCoy, and he reminds me of a guy that I played with. He actually played in Philadelphia, and Charlie Garner. I mean, he's got he's got some suddenness to him, some quickness, the ability to change direction.
Sanchez 1st and 10. Again underneath. Ertz to the 47-yard line and brought down by Riley. Gain of 8.
Well, the Eagles do a great job spreading you out as a defense, and they attack every part of the field.
You know, when they call these plays, I know they radio it into Sanchez, but the offensive linemen are always looking to the sideline.
Well, they're getting the plays as well.
Right.
I mean, there's not a lot of volume and concepts from week to week, and there can't be when you play so fast.
With a 2nd down and 2. Kelsey with the block, holding him off, but now the dam breaks. Flags are thrown. Knocked away. Riley got in the way of the intended receiver, Smith. Brad Smith, the former quarterback at Mizzou, was in the sights. He's only caught 1 pass this season.
Holding number 62 offense. Illegal contact prior to the pass. Number 56. Those fouls offset. 2nd down.
That's where Kelsey was holding him off. He was.
Let's go take a look at this. You're going to see Mark Sanchez. He's going to get outside the pocket. Go ahead and run it. I want you to keep an eye on Darren Sproles, the back. Now, it's not open down the field. Go ahead, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Now, stop it. Just throw it to him. You know, that old expression, Kevin, you never go broke what? Taking a profit. Don't try and fit one in down here in between double coverage. You're just asking for trouble when you throw the ball late down the middle.
2nd and 2, Sproles in the backfield. Ertz, the 38, brought down by Breeland, hit by Compton, picks up 9, gets an Eagle 1st down.
Well, watch Ertz. Watch how sudden he is. He just pulls up, sits in right between the safety and the linebacker. Talked about the guy that's got a great feel for the type of coverage, whether it's man or zone.
1st and 10 handoff. Sproles. Kerrigan got him first and then finished off by Clark. Ryan Clark got a gain of 4.
That one fell right into his lap. We had a great time with Ryan Clark on Friday. Here's a guy, he loves football. He's passionate about this game, and he's got a lot of pride, and it bothers him right now that they've won just 3 games.
2nd down, 6. Good catch by Ertz. Brought down by Compton. Works it down to the 18-yard line of the Redskins. A 16-yard pickup. Earlier he caught 1 for 9. Another 1st down for Philadelphia.
Well, the Redskins have no answer right now for Zach Ertz. Will Compton, he can't hang with the tight end. The Eagles are doing a great job attacking in the middle of the field with Zach Ertz. Look at that, 10 catches already for 83 yards.
In the red zone, McCoy is in and gets the call. Following the block by Ertz, and he crawls down to about the 13-yard line and hit by Riley. Whacked in the play by Frank Kierce. It is a gain of 4. As they're trying to dial something up here to slow down this offense.
Yeah, it's not easy to call defenses against this Philadelphia offense. Everything is sped up. He doesn't have as much time to look at that sheet, to look at situations, to make substitutions, to dial up all those blitzes. None of these defensive coordinators like playing against this up-tempo approach from Chip Kelly and the Eagles.
Redskins scored 14 and entered in the 3rd. That's where we stand here. 2nd down and 6. McCoy brought down Compton and others, got him. Loss of 3, and also it makes it tough for Haslett. An NFL high 35 different players he's had to use at different times throughout the season.
Well, you know, you want to be multiple in nature, but that's getting carried away now. You talk about all those different players. You should see they signal in the plays, and He said on Friday, look, it's not a big deal, but I think it is. Anthony, talk to any defensive coordinator, they want that time to sift through that call sheet.
3rd and 9. Cooper, what a catch! Touchdown! The Eagles are back in business. They beat Biggers on a 16-yard touchdown pass. Sanchez to Cooper, who's caught his 2nd touchdown reception today.
Well, something happens here. I mean, somebody has got to hang with the receiver up the seam. You see Thomas, he comes down. They turn Riley Cooper loose. This is the same route that gave him fits the first time around. This all goes special, the seam routes. Philadelphia Eagles really hurt the Redskins in that first game.
Parkey with the extra point and 10:27 to go in the 4th. 3-point game in Washington. Cooper with 2 touchdown receptions today. He had 1 coming in, 3 now for the year. A big-time haul right there. Sanchez throws it right on the money. This Saturday edition of Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Verizon. More live games than ever before with NFL Mobile. And by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. Sounds like something Abraham Lincoln would have said, the Lincoln Memorial.
What, drink responsibly?
No, I don't know if he said it or not. Mark Sanchez with a couple of touchdown passes tonight. 7 of 7 on that drive when they needed him to be as accurate. And you know what, that pass was so well thrown. It was the only place.
Not the only place.
Right.
There's a tight window there. He does a nice job putting a little air on it. 27 of 35. Mark Sanchez, he's been very sharp in this one.
Roberts fumbled the last time he retrieved the kickoff, and here he comes again. To about the 17-yard line, holding on for dear life right here. Well, this is close like the first matchup. Skins and Eagles went back in week 3. Sean Jackson with a 71-yard touchdown reception from Kirk Cousins. Tied the game at 27 in the 3rd. 4th quarter fight led to a couple of ejections as emotions were running high. Then Jeremy Macklin's 27-yard touchdown reception from Nick Foles gave the Eagles a lead, and they held on for that 37-34 win. Part of their 9 wins in their first 12 games.
I'm almost certain that was the exact same play call we just saw with Riley Cooper.
Well, you would know. 1st and 10. Griffin. Oh, he's hit. Ooh. And he brought the ball in. Fletcher Cox devours him back at the 11. 2nd sack by the Eagle D. Loss of 6 on the play. The Eagle defense has the 2nd most sacks in the NFL this season.
Well, Fletcher Cox just walks Chris Chester right back into the lap of RG3. We talked about it in the open, Kevin, the speed and the quickness with which he gets off the snap.
Little 2nd and 14 right here. 5 in the secondary for the Eagles. They bring it all. It's got on the play by Thompson, who crawls his way to the 18. Brought down by Brandon Boykin. He picks up 6. And down in the end zone and writhing in pain is a lineman. Is that Trent Williams? It is. Who has gone through just a horrendous physical season. Right shoulder strain coming into tonight. It was questionable as if he would even play. He has battled an injured right knee, a dislocated kneecap. This guy has gone through it all. In every game he has shown up. The 2-time Pro Bowler out of Oklahoma.
He's a warrior, Kevin. It's amazing. These guys, they're all banged up. And he just gets pushed backwards. It's like he's grabbing that right arm. You just see him right there.
Oh, and that's the shoulder. As he was hit right there. The right shoulder was hit by Barwin. The right shoulder is his injured shoulder. So our 4th quarter clock at 9:28. The Redskins leading by 3. Redskins have just lost their starting left tackle. We're back in Landover. Eagles on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. 9-5. They've lost 2 straight. 3rd and 10. Going deep and looking for Jackson's double covered. It's picked off. Intercepted by Nate Allen. Robert Griffin III has just thrown his first interception tonight. The first in his last 94 pass attempts. And the veteran Nate Allen swipes it.
Well, look, they're just trying to throw the go route, but you can't predetermine. The safety is going to start working this way. Why? Because they know that they've thrown this deep ball to Deshaun Jackson, and that's where they've gotten beat with that matchup with Bradley Fletcher. Really nice play, nice adjustment by the safety.
So now down by 3, and with good beginning field position at their 46. It's 1st and 10 for Sanchez. Dropped Cooper. Coverage by the linebacker Riley. The Eagles have 2 fourth-quarter comebacks this season. They happened weeks 1 and 2 against Jacksonville and the Colts. With a look at Sanchez, in the last 10, he's put airborne.
Well, look how hot he's been, Kevin. He's on a roll. He's really throwing the ball well. It's coming out of his hands quick. He's been decisive. Getting the receivers into the transition of the run.
2nd down 10. McCoy. He's got the first down. He's into Redskin territory at the 43. A catch and run of 11 by LeSean McCoy.
Boy, if I was Sanchez, I'd try and throw it to McCoy every play. I mean, I just drop back. Let all those other guys run downfield. Just throw it to 25.
People said you were sharp, Rich. They're right.
I mean, he just continues to make plays.
Well, why not, right?
I like that matchup on any linebacker.
Strolls is in. Here comes Selleck on a 1st and 10 with some misdirection, and he's knocked out of bounds by Clark. But the catch and run takes him for about 15 downfield to the 27-yard line. And another first down for Philadelphia. With these, you've talked about the tight ends all night.
They do a great job. They do a nice job with their misdirection, where the back goes one way and the tight end Selleck or Ertz comes back underneath.
11 tight end receptions tonight by the Eagles.
The Redskins have not done a good job, Kevin, matching up.
They got to be exhausted. 1st and 10, Sanchez. Sproles drilled Philip Thomas. He thinks the ball is yard free. They call it player down. Gain of 2. Sproles did catch the ball. But watch this hit. He got drilled.
Well, it takes an extra hitch, and that makes him late to the flat, and that makes it easy for the safety, Philip Thomas.
He hits like Merriweather, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the dreadlocks like Merriweather. Hits like Merriweather. He's taking his place. 2nd down 8. Good block by Peters, left tackle. Macklin, what a catch. He's inside the 10. He was covered by Breland. Mark him at the 8. 18-yard pickup with a pinpoint throw by Sanchez.
Kevin, you're not lying about a pinpoint throw. Mark Sanchez rips this ball to Jeremy Macklin. I mean, this is pretty good coverage by Breland. And a terrific catch and great concentration on the boundary by Jeremy Macklin. Wow.
1st and goal. McCoy. Kerrigan. Nothing there. Loss of about a yard, maybe a half yard on the play. Each team with 3 timeouts. Clock, as you see, ticking here in the 4th. Redskins one time led by 10 with 14 unanswered in the 3rd quarter. Eagles have had 2 missed field goals from the normally reliable rookie Cody Parkey from 34 and 46. 2nd down and goal at the 8. Sanchez has thrown it 40 times. 31 of 40 for 333. It's caught by Ertz. He's down about the 4. He was hit on the play by Compton with a pickup of 4.
Boy, Zach Ertz, look at the numbers, Kevin. 11 for 87. Done a really nice job. We've got to make an adjustment. He's really been hurting them. And they just don't have that safety or that linebacker that can match up with him right now.
Redskins have been out there defensively for 75 plays. 3rd and goal at the 4. Sproles is in. Sanchez deflected. I think perhaps Riley got a hand on that ball and it ricocheted away as they were going for Ertz. A couple yards deep in the end zone.
He's just running a little Hank route. Look how quickly that hole closes. Hits him in the hands, but Riley's there, Kevin, to make it a difficult catch.
It is 4th down. They will go for 3. The number's not good for Parkey, who again had missed only 2 all season long coming into tonight. He's missed 2 tonight. 22-yarder here.
The right hash has not been good for him.
For the tie. At 6:18, well, 6:17 of the 4th. Parkey is good for the first time tonight. But he ties it for the Eagles with the Redskins on NFL Network.
Jolly, jolly Christmas, it's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer.
Well, no guessing what the Eagles would like in this holiday season. But it has been an uphill battle tonight, just outside the nation's capital. Now we're tied at 24, and the 22-yard field goal by Parkey after the interception by Nate Allen. Cooper there, you see at the bottom of your screen, he's got 2 touchdown passes tonight from Sanchez. The ensuing kickoff. Roberts will bring it out. And he's got a little bit of space. Miles Paul with the block, and the kicker knocks him out of bounds. How about that return? 41-yard return, a kickoff return by Andre Roberts.
Well, takes it. He's got to be at least 5-6 yards deep. But I love these guys who are decisive. They head straight downhill, and then of course he's got the speed to get outside. Never good when the kicker, Kevin, has to come in and make the tackle. Look at Parkey.
I don't know if they asked him to do that a lot at Auburn. 1st and 10. Look at the hard charging Alfred Morris, who takes it into the grasp of Kendricks, the tight end, and also getting hit there by Emmanuel Acho on a gain of 7. And they take him up to the 43-yard line, into the sideline, and Stacey Dales.
Well, Kevin, left tackle Trent Williams with these Redskins. He re-aggravated that right shoulder injury, as you suspected. He's been wincing in pain since he came off. He's clearly wincing right now as he continues to work with the medical staff here with these Washington Redskins guys. He is questionable to return in this game. Doesn't look good for the left tackle.
All right, they put Compton on that left side, brought in Columbus, as Rich talked about, 2nd down and 3. Morris again, he was drilled by Benny Logan. Hit hard at the line, a lot of wear and tear. And they get a gain of a yard.
Kevin, this is not good when you lose a player, a really good player like Trent Williams. Now, all of a sudden, as you point out, so Compton has to go from right tackle to left tackle, where he's going to struggle. Then you bring in Tyler Columbus, who struggles at the right tackle position. And this is already a Redskins offense that's given up 53 sacks coming into today's game.
Redskins in the game on 3rd down, 1 of 6. 3rd down and 2. Columbus the block at the right tackle. Time enough to hit the tight end Reed. Right in front of the nickelback Boykin. He's up to the 47. He picks up 4 on 3rd and 2. It's a Redskin 1st down, each team with 3 timeouts remaining.
Yeah, he's just going to go up and find the hole and sit down, and this thing's got to come out a little bit quicker. Now, I thought it was interesting. We talked to Connor Barwin last night. He said, we feel really good about 3rd down. 3rd down is our down against it. I guess it's just a second 3rd down conversion for the Redskins today.
1st and 10. Morris. Russell down near the line of scrimmage. Not much there whatsoever with the stop made by Michael Kendricks, who's out of Cal. 2nd round pick. No gain on the play.
I really like the way Connor Barwin plays, and they're putting a tight end on him. They've got tight ends, as he told us, he's not overly concerned about these tight ends blocking in the running game.
Trent Williams has just come back out onto the field, meaning Compton goes back to the right tackle, and Columbus comes off 2nd and 10.
Look at him hold that arm.
Oh my gosh.
Essentially out there blocking with one arm. And believe me, Brandon Graham knows it.
Red is in the backfield. Nick Thompson, who gets the call, trying the screen pass. Lichtensteiger a block, and read so well once again by Kendricks. Loss of 2. Back to the 45.
Well, you look at him, he's got that one arm. I mean, Graham's going to beat him around the corner if this thing doesn't come out so quick. And Jay Gruden's got to be very cognizant of that with the tackle. We've got to help him. The screens, the quick game, we've got to put a tight end over there. We've got to slide the line.
The Redskins are the worst team in the NFL on 3rd and 10 or longer. They've got it 3rd and 12. They need the 43 of Philly. Griffin. And knocked away by Fletcher. They were going to the veteran Santana Moss. Incomplete. 4th down, and they've got a punt. 4th and 12.
Sometimes you wait, you're late. The ball just took a while to come out of the hands of RG3. You mentioned the struggles on 3rd and 10. 4 of 58 this year. Just 7% is the worst in football. That play took too long to develop. Bradley Fletcher just had way too much time to get out to the flag.
Tressway will punt to Sproles, who has fumbled in each of the last 2 games from the 10. And down he goes. Here's it on the play by Silas Red. They pursued him well. 45-yard punt, 5-yard return. The rugged Trent Williams, part of the Redskins-Eagles game tonight. As a quarterback, Rich, I bet you love situations like this, didn't you?
Kevin, these are the situations that you crave, and Mark Sanchez has really played well today. 32 of 42, 337 yards and a couple touchdowns. He has been sharp. The Eagles have had 76 offensive snaps already in this game. And now they've got themselves in a position where all they've got to do is finish with 2:36 and 3 timeouts left.
That's the day of Sanchez from the 15-yard line, 1st and 10. They go to Sproles. He's hit by Compton. He gets out to about the 23-yard line and a pickup of 9.
You always want to start a 2-minute drive with a completion. And you know, you talk about a team that's good in 2-minute football. Their whole game is 2-minute football. This is how they practice and play every single day.
Parkey warming up on the sideline. 2nd and 1. Ertz outside. Compton ushers him out of play. 1st down catch. Clock is done at 2:08. 5-yard pickup. Put him at the 28. Clock will stop at the 2-minute warning. And 3 timeouts remaining for Philly.
You look at all the receivers that have caught balls today. 7 different receivers. Ertz, Macklin, Matthews, Cooper, Sproles, McCoy, Selleck. Do a good job with ball distribution.
Sproles remains 1st and 10. Peters a good block at the left tackle. Nice catch by Ertz. Lassos the ball near the 35. It's a pickup of 7. The Eagles are on the move. They're tied with the Skins at 24 on NFL Network. There's the rookie, Cody Parkey, who has had 1 game-winning field goal this year. His time was expiring in a Monday night game that Kurt Warner and I did from Indianapolis. It was earlier in the season, and he won the game for the Eagles on the road. He may be faced with the same thing here in Washington tonight.
Well, you know, he's thinking about it, right? I'm sure he'd prefer that ball in the middle of the field in the left hash.
He's missed twice right from 34 and from 46. He just kicked a 22-yarder to tie the game. 2nd down 4. Eagles 3 timeouts. Sanchez. His 33rd completion, a career high. Ertz to the 46. He was whacked in the play by Philip Thomas. Another 1st down, a pickup of 11.
Kevin, how many times does Zach Ertz have to catch the ball before Jim Haslett starts doubling the tight end? He's got 14 catches for 109 yards.
And he's got 3 on this drive alone, as Riley is a little bit groggy as he gets up.
They need to bracket him. You put a linebacker, 2 linebackers, a linebacker and safety, and play in and out coverage on the tight end.
This injury comes inside 2 minutes, so automatically the Redskins are charged a timeout. They've got 2, and again the Eagles with their full complement 3. As Haslett tries to dial up something against this Philly offense.
You spend so much time trying to take away Jeremy Macklin, Matthews, and now you've got Zach Ertz who's doing all the damage in the middle of the field.
14 receptions for Ertz, 109. 1st and 10 from the 46-yard line with Sproles in the backfield.
Well, they've got somebody
else. Oh, that was going for Ertz, and Ryan Clark got right in the way. The interception was there. It's incomplete in 2nd and 10.
Well, they blitz. And what happens is Zach Ertz he's hot, so he's trying to stop. And you see Ryan Clark, quarterback and the tight end not on the same page. Push comes to shove in a critical situation. Expect plus pressure from this Washington defense. That's who Jim Haslett is.
2nd and 10. Off to Ertz, hit by Clark, into Redskin territory at the 48. Ertz with his 15th reception, a franchise record, a gain of 6 on the play.
Kevin, you hear me talk about this every Friday. I said, I want to know if I'm playing against a defense, I want to know who the defensive coordinator is, what his background is, and what his fastball is in a critical situation. With Jim Haslett, it's pressure. Here it comes again.
3rd and 4. Low, was it picked off? It was by Breeland.
Well, Sanchez not able to set his feet. Question is just, wow. Question is, does Breeland actually catch it? He's got his arm on it, but he traps it with the ground.
Well, inside 2 minutes, there's obviously no challenge. Everything is a booth review.
The ball moves a little bit.
Of course, on a turnover, that would be the case.
The ruling on the field is an interception. That ruling is under review.
I think his hand is underneath it. Bashaud Breeland, a rookie. 1:31 to play. Well, the ruling on the field is an interception by Washington. Carl Cheffers has looked at the play.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Washington.
Mike Carey will join us from New York. And Mike, what do you think?
And this is why the ruling on the field stands. The rule states that the defender in this case has to have control before he hits the ground, which he does. The ball does hit the ground. However, when it hits the ground, it does not move very much substantially at all. So it's a great review to leave it on the field the way the ruling was held on the field.
All right, Mike, thank you. 42-yard line, Skins take over. They need about 25 yards to get in Kai Forbath range. 1st and 10, Pierre Garçon. Oh, and there he goes. Out of bounds, 35-yard line. Williams and Brendan Boykin were chasing. Williams could not bring him down. 23-yard catch and run.
Well, Pierre Garçon, he's like a fullback when he catches the ball. And Kerry Williams is in position, but Garçon just spins out. He is a big physical receiver after the catch.
And they called roughing the passer after the play as Curry came in and got him on the head. And that always will draw yellow. And now the ball is deep at the 20-yard line of Philadelphia.
And Kevin, now you're running a couple times. Make Chip Kelly, the Eagles, use those timeouts.
They've got 3, 2 for the Skins. 1st and 10. Morris, Young the block. And jumping on his back was Brandon Graham. Gain is about 3 yards. Flag is thrown down to the 17-yard line.
Offside. Number 98 defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Connor Barwin.
1st and 5. The penalty story pretty revealing.
Set. Ready. Patient.
2 tight ends. Morris will follow. And he works his way to about the 8. The gang tackle right there, Acho and others, a gain of 7. As Kai Forbath is waiting on the sideline. He's got 1 game-winning kick this year. It was early in the season against the Tennessee Titans in this building. It is a timeout. It's taken by the Eagles. If you think this one's good, a lot of intrigue in the game right after this one as we go to the West Coast in San Francisco. Although the Niners have been eliminated, they'll take on San Diego, very much alive in the AFC playoff picture. That's up next on NFL Network and CBS.
Well, Kevin, the Redskins can run it a couple times here, 3 times, and force the Eagles to use those 2 timeouts. Still have about 21 seconds on the clock before they try a field goal. RG3's got to seat the ball. Tell those backs, put 2 hands on the ball.
First and goal. Morris bumped into Chester. Staggers to about the 6-yard line. And then you see the avalanche of Eagle defenders on a gain of 2, and he's down near the 5.
Chip Kelly will take the timeout.
There are some, Rich, that would maybe consider letting them score.
And I'm not one of them.
Yeah, okay, good.
So many things can go wrong,
Right,
Kevin.
I get it.
Look, we just saw Parkey miss 2 kicks, makeable kicks. Anything can happen. A bad snap, a bad hold.
Second down and goal at the 6.
If you're Robert Griffin III, you tell the center, get me the football, and you remind the back to take care of the ball. We don't need to score in this situation. We just need to make sure that at the end of the play we still possess the ball.
Second and goal. Morris again. And he's hit by Logan, wrapped up. Torn down. Thornton was there as well. Gain of a yard. They nudge that ball just inside the 5-yard line of the Eagles.
Now,
so the Eagles are out of timeouts. Parkey has missed 2 field goals today. Back-to-back possessions too. One from 34, just barely missing to the right. But the second one from 46 yards. And again, minimal wind inside the stadium. That really sailed right.
it just looked like one of my 7-irons.
One of them.
Now, this is interesting. You're on the right hash here. Your RG3, obviously, Jay Gruden, they know where they want the football. Their kicker, Forbath, he may want it in the middle. RG3 may just take this ball and move to his left and go down.
Third and goal at the 5, and the Eagles quickly jumped, and it is a false start.
False start. Number 71 offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Now third and goal at the 10.
This isn't hard, is it?
Well, it depends. When you're 3 and 11, a lot of things are hard.
How about this? 131 penalties by the Redskins, Kevin, coming into today's game. That's the 4th most for over 1,000 yards.
Couple tight ends, third down, third and goal at the 10. Morris again plowing his way inside. He was hit by Acho and others. With a gain of 2, down to the 7.
And take that play clock all the way down to about 10 seconds.
10-second differential. And the Eagles are out of timeouts.
Redskins can take it all the way down and burn one of their 2 timeouts.
Forbath had a couple of blocked field goals a season ago against the San Diego Chargers.
Well, the
Eagles special teams have blocked 4 kicks. 1 field goal and 3 punts. So this is a team that is attuned to them. As you see the time down, and they call it with 10 seconds. And Forbath is out there. 3 years out of UCLA, Kai Forbath. Interception thrown by Sanchez. Breland grabbed it. The big play once the Redskins got the ball, a 23-yard catch and run by Pierre Garçon.
Well, the Eagles got to be sick, Kevin. This will be 3 straight losses. Disappointing pair of home losses. Not the way Chip Kelly wanted to finish the season.
The punter, Tressway, will hold. The long snapper is Nick Sundberg. Kai Forbath for the lead. Five seconds to go. The Redskins are up by 3. A 26-yard field goal by Kai Forbath.
Good snap, good hold, and it's just a chip shot for Forbath.
Well, this is the best special teams unit from top to bottom in the NFL, and they're going to need something special here. They have 4 special teams touchdowns this season, most in the NFL. This is Chris Polk, and we're back 102 yards week 3 against these Redskins. Darren Sproles, an 82-yard punt return week 4 at San Francisco. Sproles again, 65-yard punt return week 10 against the Panthers. Josh Huff, a Eagle record 107-yard kickoff return week 12 against the Titans.
I don't think Huff's going to get a chance to return this kick, Kevin. This is going to be a squibber down the middle of the field. The last thing you want to do is drive one down there and give Josh Huff a chance to return it.
Forbat the 26-yard field goals, but the Redskins on top. Eagles out of timeouts. 5 seconds to go in the ensuing kickoff. With Washington on top by 3. Oh my gosh, it hit the up man right there, right off the bat. That was Trey Burton.
Well, hey, this is big now. They get the ball with 3 seconds left at midfield.
Burton looked like a goalie in soccer.
Look at Jay Gruden. He can't believe it. The kicker's trying to drive the ball right down the middle of the field, and he winds up hitting the up back. Now the Eagles have the ball at midfield. Kevin, this changes everything. You got a chance to throw one to the end zone.
Burton is a rookie free agent. He's out of Florida, and a guy who had played 5 positions with the Gators, and he came up with the 6th position, goalie, as he blocks it, and it's right at midfield. Now the Redskins have 3 players lined up at the 5. Defensive backs are sprinkled all over the field.
Well, Sanchez is going to have to hold it, Kevin. He's going to have to run around a little bit, buy himself some time.
Timeout.
And heave one to the end zone.
Washington has just used their final timeout.
I want to get a look at how the Eagles came out and what personnel group and how they lined up. What I think you do is I think you jam the receivers to the line of scrimmage. I don't want to give them a free 15, 20-yard release. But then you gotta really retreat and make sure that you got someone that can play the ball down.
How often is this practiced, though, during the week, would you say?
You know, this is always rehearsed, Kevin, but it's usually not done live. You don't want anyone getting hurt in this situation, diving for a ball at the back of the end zone, but usually this is something that's scripted. A lot of times it's a walkthrough situation. But they've got to play. Chip Kelly's got to play specifically for this situation. Look how deep they are back here in the secondary. Probably just a 3-man rush, 2 or 3-man rush. 2-man rush.
Sanchez.
Well, you got time, heave it. There it is.
Exactly what he does. And it is knocked down by Emerson. Redskins win. And now the Eagles have got to hope that Dallas loses tomorrow. First time in a couple of years the Redskins have beaten Philadelphia. Philly loses their 3rd consecutive game. And this stops a 6-game losing streak of Washington.
Well, look how high Emerson jumped up and did the right thing, Kevin. He didn't try and catch it. He just wanted to make sure he batted that ball down. Problem is you've got nobody in front. Look at all 3 Eagle receivers. They're all kind of jockeying for position. No one's able to go up and play the ball in the air. Sanchez did the right thing. He threw it up, gave him a chance. Look how happy Jay Gruden. It's been a while. Redskins have really struggled. They've lost 6 straight games before the win today against Philly.
Redskins go to 4-11. The Eagles have lost their 3rd consecutive game. They go to 9-6 and need a Dallas loss to stay alive. Dallas will play Indianapolis tomorrow on CBS in the late afternoon window. The Eagles tonight, 2 turnovers, 4 drop passes, 2 missed field goals, 13 penalties. And even though Sanchez was 37-50 through the air, 374. Robert Griffin III, 16 of 23. And I guess the quarterback debate in Washington continues.
Well, good for him, Kevin. You know, it's been a tough couple weeks, and he looks relieved. But he did some good things today. 16 of 23, 220 yards. Made some big plays in critical situations.
For the 3rd different time this season, they've called on Griffin to start. Coming up next on CBS and NFL Network, Thursday night football kickoff with the Saturday edition presented by Lowe's. Take you right to kickoff for the Chargers and Niners. For Rich Gannon and Stacey Dales, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Washington and happy holidays. You've been watching NFL Network.